anywhere near close to the Super Bowl, it would be a remarkably, pleasant surprise.
Well, I think the last couple of years, Steelers fans have resigned themselves to the fact that they are just an 8-9, 9-8 team. This is who they are.
Well, they're
not going to change because ownership doesn't want to change. They have no plan at quarterback, and Tomlin is just another coach.
You've pretty much hit the nail on the head, I think.
Well,
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is already a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and also streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. You could also hit me up on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. Dan Lanning, the head football coach of the Oregon Ducks, his team back in the college football playoff. They'll be going up against James Madison. He's going to stop by 40 minutes from now. At the top of the hour, we'll chap in with a Philadelphia sports media icon in the Cuz, Anthony Gargano. That will come your way at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Let's start with the Eagles and the Chargers from last night. So I appreciate the effort by Philip Rivers. He is returning, by the way. We'll get to that story in just a second. But I appreciate the effort of one Justin Herbert. Whenever you have surgery a week ago and you play through a game and you are getting the snot just beat out of you, because that Eagles defensive line, that Eagles defensive front seven was all up in the face of one Justin Herbert. And you could just see, right, he was bleeding. The left side of his body, his left hand, his left arm, it looked like it was just dangling out there. Like, I was watching that game last night, and I'm saying to myself, how is Justin Herbert playing? And how is he going to get through this game? Especially, he wasn't just taking a beating. He was just getting punished play after play after play after play. And for him to have the toughness and for it to lead to a victory last night, I get it. It's not the main story. It's the Eagles. We'll get to them in just a second. I'd just be remiss right out of the gate if I didn't appreciate the toughness that we saw from Justin Herbert last night. And now the Chargers are sitting there at 9-4. They're probably going to the postseason. The nail, I think, is already kind of hammered in on the Kansas City Chiefs season, but maybe you have to hammer one more nail away, like one more time away. But they do play the Chiefs this upcoming weekend in Arrowhead. They already beat them once. Then they play the Cowboys, they play the Texans, and they play the Broncos. So it's not a lock that the Chargers are going to the playoffs. But if you just go 500 in these next 4 games, if you just go 2-2, and you sit there and you're 11-5, you're going to the playoffs. And this is a team, whether it was both tackles, all the running backs, like all the injuries that we suffered this year, I understand this is not a banner year for the Los Angeles Chargers. This is not a year where they're probably going to be anywhere close to getting to a Super Bowl. But there's a toughness about this team with the amount of adversity that they had to suffer and the way that they've just been decimated with injuries. And you beat a team like the Philadelphia Eagles where, let's get to them, a team's season can completely change in about a month. And that's what's happened to Philadelphia. Think where we were about 4 weeks ago. They started the week where they beat the Green Bay Packers. Remember that low-scoring 10-7 game? And then they finished the week on a Sunday Night Football because you're playing Monday and Sunday, if memory serves me right. Then they finished the week on a Sunday Night Football game where they didn't score that many points, but their defense was awesome, and they beat the Lions 16-9. Think about it. The NFC North is a gauntlet this year. In the same week, they beat the Packers, who could be the best team in the NFC. And then they also beat the Detroit Lions. Since then, though, they were up 21-0 against the Cowboys. They choked that game away. Then the following week, the Chicago Bears ran the ball down their throat, and they ended up losing to Chicago on Black Friday. But last night, man, how they lost that game. It's one thing to lose a game, but then how you lose the game is a different thing. Because everyone could survive a loss. But how they lost that game, and I understand they have the Raiders and the Commanders the next 2 weeks. And I understand the Eagles are probably still winning the NFC East. The Eagles are still probably going to the playoffs. But when you have a team with this much talent, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, right? And you just look at the names that they have on the offensive side of the ball, the goal is not just to make the playoffs. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. And I know you could sit there and say, Zach, you're too tough on the Philadelphia Eagles. They just won the Super Bowl last year. Give them a little grace. No. You don't need to win the Super Bowl again this year. But you at least have to have this idea that there's a shot that you can win the Super Bowl. And when I watch Philadelphia right now, we've seen 2 versions of the Eagles. Right? The last 2 seasons, take this one out of it. In 2023 and 2024, they both had moments of adversity. They both had times where people wonder what this team was going to be. And even at 10-1 in 2023, people were wondering what they were going to be because they weren't having a clean brand of football on the offensive side of the ball. They were sloppy. They were winning sloppy, but they were 10-1. They won 1 game down the stretch. 1 freaking game down the stretch. And then Wild Card Weekend rolled around, and they got smacked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were out. Then the following season, there were questions about the job status of Nick Sirianni in the season. There were questions about the offense in the season. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. So the Eagles right now, they're at a crossroads. The last 2 weeks, they've been at a crossroad. And they could either turn left and go the path of 2023 or turn right and go the path of 2024. I think it's clear, folks. They're turning left. They're going to 2023. If this team is playing in a conference championship game this year, if this team is playing in a Super Bowl, hats off to them, I'll be stunned. Absolutely stunned. And the Eagles have not a defensive problem. You look at the last 2 games that we've seen on a football field. Eagles and Chargers, both those defenses look championship caliber. The offenses, not so much. The Kansas City Chiefs in their football game, didn't the Chiefs look like they had a championship caliber defense? Absolutely. Their offense? Not so much. So it's like you look at these games and in the way that they are played, and you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, man, like the Texans too, like how many times are the Texans, they have a championship defense and their offense not so much. That's what we saw in the last two games. With the Chiefs, the Texans, the Chargers, and the Eagles. The defenses were, man, we're ready to go. We're ready to win. But the offenses, look like a bunch of JV offenses, if I'm being honest with you. And that Eagles offense, even with all the turnovers that Jalen Hurts had up until the final one, they had a chance to go win the game. Not only did they have a chance to go win the game, they also had a chance to go cover the spread. And there was a moment at the end of that game, right, when the Eagles have it at 1st and 10 and they're on the 17. Bare minimum with the Chargers already kicking the field goal. You're thinking, okay, they'll kick the field goal at the worst case scenario, and then the game will be tied, and you'll see if the defense can keep the Chargers, off the scoreboard, and maybe the game just ends in a tie. Now, probably Sirianni just keeps on going for it. I would imagine that because he's trying to win the game, and I think he'd rather lose the game than tie the game. If I'm just being honest, I happen to agree with that, even though the tie does benefit you benefit you more. But I watch football. When I watch a game and I invest 60+ minutes in it, of football time, which is like 4 hours plus, I want to see a win or a loss. I don't want to see a tie. But it's not that the Eagles lost the game last night. It's how they lost it. With this quarterback just becoming a turnover machine and just not playing smart football. Like, how many times do we praise Jalen Hurts? And we all acknowledge Jalen Hurts isn't the best quarterback we've ever seen. But, right, he's supposed to play to his strengths. He's supposed to be the point guard. He's supposed to be savvy. He's supposed to be smart. What are you doing forcing a throw there on 1st and 10 at the Chargers 17 when you're about to have the same old Chargers loss? The risk wasn't worth it there. And that's the thing last night. It's not that the Eagles lost to the Chargers. Chargers are a solid team. It's how they lost. And this offense now, for 2 months, if not more than that, they've been lost. And you saw some spurts last night, like Saquon ripping off the big run. Oh, it's the Eagles of 2024. But as the game just went on and on and on and on, it was like, nope, this is the Eagles of 2023. And the irony is, the last 2 weeks up until this one, like A.J. Brown's had good statistical games. And they weren't able to win those 2 games. A.J. Brown last night, though, on one of those interceptions, I know the ball was thrown high. Dude, you're an NFL wide receiver. You get 2 hands on the football, you got to catch the ball. With how much bitching and complaining and moaning and groaning that A.J. Brown does, he had, 3 or 4 drops last night easily. So it's not just Jalen Hurts. But when you consistently have inner fighting in your locker room, getting broadcasted publicly for all of us to see, you're going to have to take sides. You're either going to be team A.J. Brown or you're going to be team Jalen Hurts. And here's the thing. I don't think it matters what the public opinion is. Like, you will have Eagles fans today that will crush A.J. Brown. You will have Eagles fans today that crush Jalen Hurts. Howie Roseman, though, who's always been a wild card, he is viewed now as the preeminent executive in the NFL. But I remember not that long ago when he was drafting Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, right? When he could have had DK Metcalf, when he could have had Justin Jefferson, and that was after delivering the Eagles their first ever championship, their first ever Lombardi trophy. And there was a moment, there was like a 2-year stretch in Philadelphia where Eagles fans were just done, absolutely done with Howie Roseman. But Howie Roseman is always a guy that you will say zig to him and he will zag. Like, remember the initial reaction when the Eagles just drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round when they had Carson Wentz and people were a believer in Carson Wentz. And they committed big money to Carson Wentz. So I'm going to sit here, and I hear a lot of people today, they talk about this whole future of Jalen Hurts. And what is the future of Jalen Hurts? I think the dead cap kind of gives you the answer. And when you win a Super Bowl, like Carson Wentz, he won a Super Bowl, but he wasn't playing. Right? He got hurt. He led him to basically the number 1 seed, then got hurt. Then Nick Foles took over. and Nick Foles won that Super Bowl. But you look at Jalen Hurts, not only did he win a Super Bowl, he won a Super Bowl MVP. And the dead cap is just outrageous next year. So I don't know if A.J. Brown is going to be on the team next year. I don't. I would suspect that A.J. Brown is probably going to force himself off the Eagles this offseason. But does Howie Roseman still want Jalen Hurts as his quarterback? And I know you may be getting in your car right now. You may be listening to us on the apps or on Sirius, and you may be saying to yourself, Zach, like, dude, settle down. Don't have this hot take in what's been a bad season for Jalen Hurts, and he had his worst game of his career, and you're telling me that Jalen Hurts is not going to be on the Eagles next year. I'm not saying that. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be on the Eagles next year. But would I put it past Howie Roseman, when everyone, says zig and he zags, to do something different and move off of the quarterback? No, I would not. I think it's on the table. But ultimately, I think Jalen Hurts is going to get next season, and next season is going to be a make-or-break season. Because they have too much talent in Philadelphia to have this many poor results, and these many poor results on the offensive side of the ball. And you look at it the last 3 years. Each of the last 3 years, there have been questions about Jalen Hurts. 2023, major questions. 2024, he won a Super Bowl MVP. 2025, he hasn't looked good. So there are conversations there. They have to start somewhere. It doesn't mean, though, that this offseason, Howie Roseman's going to sit there and say to himself, we got to get rid of Jalen Hurts to go to Tanner McKee. But there's going to be people calling Sports Radio 94 WIP and saying that today. I could guarantee you that. And how much does that matter? What does that mean? I don't know. But conversations start somewhere, and then conversations get to executives, and even though they'll say, oh, I don't listen to the radio, I don't listen to that crap, blah, 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 even they'll have their own conversations. And Howie Roseman is a wild card. But how crazy is it that you look at the Eagles last year when they did belt to ass to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl MVP, that this year they're sitting at 8-5. They were 8-2 3 weeks ago. Now they have 3 straight losses. They're 8-5. And there's no hope in a year where the NFL is wide open. Wide open. There's no clear-cut favorite. But right now, I have nothing tangible that I can hold on to for this year. Why at the end of the year, the Eagles are going to be in a Super Bowl or they're going to be in an NFC title game. Because they've been bleeding for weeks. It reminds me of 2023. And I understand a lot of football fans would take, you're disappointing one year. You win the Super Bowl, then you're disappointed the next year. And maybe, hey, they say, Jalen, your back's up against the wall again. Go do what you did in 2024. And even if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, maybe he gets to a conference championship game and he redeems himself. Like, anytime Jalen Hurts is counted out, the next year he comes through. Like, counted out at Alabama. Unconventionally stays at Alabama, is needed in the SEC title game, helps lead them to a victory up against Georgia. Right? Gets to the NFL. No one thought he was ever going to replace Carson Wentz. Replaces Carson Wentz. Right? The season gets away from him in 2023. Responds back, winning a Super Bowl MVP. And then this year has been a disaster. Like, also going to Oklahoma. Right? And being a Heisman Trophy finalist. So whenever you count Jalen Hurts out and whenever it looks like it's not going his way, the next year he finds a way to deliver. So I think because of that and the dead cap, he'll be back next year with the Eagles. But if he has the results of this year, next year, then Howie Roseman, I don't think it's going to take much for him to say, you know what, even though we committed a lot of money to him, we got to start looking elsewhere. Because this is a damn good roster. This is a roster that should be a Super Bowl contender year in and year out. And it's one thing when you look at the roster and you say they should be a Super Bowl contender, but you ultimately have to prove it on the field. And right now, when you look at the Eagles sitting here at 8-5, even when the NFC and the AFC are both wide open this year, the Eagles absolutely look like pretenders, and they don't look like contenders. And here's why. Their defense is great. Their defense can win them a playoff game. But offensively, the Eagles aren't going to have a bye this year. The Eagles aren't going to have home field advantage. You look at when the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, it's when they have home field advantage. That's when they get there. The year where they won the Super Bowl, they were the number 1 overall seed. The other year when they lost to the Super Bowl in Kansas City, they never played a road playoff game. They had the Giants and then they had the Niners both at home. Last year they were the 2 seed, but the Lions fell in the opening, in the divisional round, and then they got a home NFC title game. So when the Eagles stay at the Link, they're tough to beat with those crowds. But they're going to have to go on the road this year. And, like, can they win a wild card round? Sure, because of the defense. But do I trust Jalen Hurts in this offense right now with all the problems they have and the way that they've been leaking to go win a wild card round game, a divisional round game, and a conference championship game, probably all on the road? Simply, I don't. And this team looks like they're more of the 2023 version of the Eagles than what we saw last year. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. An old friend is coming back to town. And I have a thought about him returning that has nothing to do with this year or for the foreseeable future. We'll tell you about the return of Phillip Rivers to the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, you heard that right. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Hey, Samter, I just got a quick question for you, as this is a Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. If you had to just take a guesstimation, like if you hear the word grandpop or grandpa or grandfather, and someone is a grandfather, what do you think the youngest somebody probably is in your mind that they're a grandfather for? Like if you just had to take a guess.
Sorry, I didn't actually hear what you said.
Oh, great. If someone is a grandfather, the bare minimum age, what do you think they would be?
Bare minimum, let's go 40.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you have a kid at 20, 21.
No. But, like, not actually using your brain.
I'm
just saying, like, if you hear someone's a grandfather, what's the youngest you think
I
of
usually
grandfather
think somewhere in their
usually is?
60s.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers is 44. He has 10 kids. I didn't know one of his kids already had a kid. Phillip Rivers is a grandfather. And a grandfather is going to be playing in the NFL potentially sometime soon for the Indianapolis Colts. Just when I saw that today, that Phillip Rivers is a grandfather, and oh yeah, by the way, he's joining the Colts practice squad, and the moment he steps foot on the active roster, the moment they activate him, his time clock starts up for the Hall of Fame, like restarts. Now, if he doesn't get signed up to practice squad, from my understanding, his time, and he's on the ballot this year, will stay, and then we'll start his campaign for the Hall of Fame. But Phillip Rivers this year, he could take himself out of the running for the Hall of Fame, and I would imagine that if Phillip Rivers is signing on the practice squad, especially with all the injuries to the Indianapolis Colts, with the two quarterbacks going down, I guess Anthony Richardson being nowhere close to coming back with Daniel Jones and then also Riley Leonard, that Phillip Rivers is going to play, maybe as soon as this weekend for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I think this is a massive mistake for Phillip Rivers. If I'm Phillip Rivers, I understand you haven't played in the NFL since you're 2020. I understand you know the offense. But physically, you're on a team right now that is 8-5. So sure, their playoff hope's still alive, yes. You're going up against the Seahawks potentially this weekend. The Seahawks have one of the best fronts in the NFL. Then even if you don't play this weekend, the following week you're going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, then it eases up with the Jaguars, and then you play the Texans at the end of the season. Phillip Rivers, you're a grandfather. Phillip Rivers, you're 44 years old. Phillip Rivers, you haven't played in the NFL since 2020, which, by the way, good for Phillip Rivers when he last played in the NFL in 2020. He led the Indianapolis Colts to the playoffs, and they lost that game in the postseason to the Buffalo Bills. But think about the next 4 teams he could potentially be playing. The Seahawks, the Niners, the Jaguars, and the Texans. Like, Phillip Rivers or not, the Colts would be lucky to win 1 game. Like, maybe Phillip Rivers wins a game with the Indianapolis Colts. But even with them being 8-5, if he comes out of retirement, where he retired and, I know he officially signed the 1-day contract over the summer with the Chargers, but the last time he played in the NFL was in the 2020 regular season that year. So 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, he's been out for basically 5 years. And if he comes back, and if he just wins a game, it's a heck of a story. If he comes back, though, and finds this team in the postseason, it'd be one of the great stories I've ever seen. Like, we thought Flacco coming off the couch a few years ago and taking the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs was something. Phillip Rivers, what is he? He's coaching high school football. He's a granddaddy. He's got 7,000 kids. Like, how the heck is this guy going to be out of the NFL for 5 years? And how the heck is he going to lead this team to the postseason going up against the Seahawks, the Niners, the Jaguars, and the Texans? Like, it just seems like a bad idea. But I don't think this is the way that Phillip Rivers is thinking, but this is the way that I'm thinking. What do we always say about the Hall of Fame status of Phillip Rivers? It's a very polarizing topic. Like, the phone lines here at the History of Our Network, they have lit up for a few topics where, like, I could always throw out the topic, and regardless of what I say, people are going to chime in and people are going to call in. Like, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Whenever that gets debated, who's the GOAT? The phone lines light up right away. I also say this. I was on the air when the whole Colin Kaepernick situation was happening. That topic, it elicited a ton of phone calls. But you know what also lights up the phones a lot? Hall of Fame conversations. Like yesterday, I went on this rant how Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. That's a passionate debate. But when it comes to quarterbacks, like Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers and national radio, they've always been heavily debated, do they belong in the Hall of Fame or not? But if Phillip Rivers gets signed to the active roster, his time clock for the Hall of Fame, until he's done playing, it then has to reset, and then he's got to wait 5 more years. So here's where my brain went to. And I don't think this is how Phillip Rivers is operating. I think Phillip Rivers is getting an opportunity to play, has a team that's 8-5, even though these defenses he's going up against, he's going to get the snot kicked out of him. And he really is. Like, these are just some... if he's playing this weekend up against the Seahawks, good luck. And then even if you don't play against the Seahawks, good luck up against the Niners. All right, then you get the Jaguars. Jaguars still a good team. And then you get the Texans. Like, I understand you got 10 kids and you got a grandkid and, like, maybe you want to run out of the house. I don't know if I want to run into ongoing traffic. That's what he's doing right now. He is running into ongoing traffic, or maybe limping, out of the retirement home at the age of 44 into ongoing traffic. And could he have one good game? Sure. But do I think the Colts are going to make the playoffs all of a sudden because Phillip Rivers is the quarterback? Absolutely not. But just maybe. And I don't think this is how he's thinking. He thinks that he can go take this team to the playoffs and he's going to have one more run at this, which the Colts aren't going to the Super Bowl anyway with Phillip Rivers or not. But if he gets elevated to the active roster, his time clock for the Hall of Fame restarts. And what we always say about Phillip Rivers, he was going to have to wait. He was going to have to wait. He'll get in. I always thought he was going to get in. Some people don't. But he's going to have to wait like 6 or 7 years. And that wasn't intentional, by the way, with the whole 6-7 craze. But I thought he was going to have to wait. Now, if he plays or he gets elevated to the active roster, he's going to have to, I believe, wait another 5 years after the season ends. So some of these quarterbacks are going to get in, right? Big Ben is going to get in. Eli will eventually get in. And then when Phillip Rivers will then be eligible in 5 or 6 years from now, I think it's actually, even though he still has to wait that time, you don't have to go through the rejection as much in order to make the Hall of Fame because you're not, even though he's on the ballot this year, he wouldn't be eligible and he would be removed from the ballot the moment that he does get elevated to the active roster. So that's something that I did think about. Chris Lopresti is here, by the way. CeeLo, what is your reaction to Phillip Rivers going to the practice squad when he hasn't played since 2020, and it was last with the Indianapolis Colts, and now this guy at the age of 44 could, in all kidding aside, he's probably going to play for the Colts. I don't know when. There's only 4 games left in the season, but I don't think you're just joining to the practice squad without intentions of actually playing this year.
I would say desperate times call for desperate measures. And yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would think that he's not doing this unless he feels like he's got a shot to get on the field. But there is a connection, obviously, with Shane Steichen. There's even a connection with Riley Leonard, a quarterback he's worked with during the offseason leading up to the draft. So familiarity with the system. Maybe if nothing else, he can come in and help out a young third-string quarterback who's kind of been thrust into a spot where not only has he had to play because of injuries to others, but now he's dealing with an injury himself. So I mean, I'm kind of in a wait-and-see approach. Right now it's fun to talk about and thinking about him actually potentially getting back out onto the field at his age. but that's sort of like one of those let me believe it when I see it things.
Now, I know that Anthony Richardson suffered this bizarre orbital bone injury.
Yeah, still on IR, right?
How is this guy not? I don't know what he's going through. So if the injury is still there and maybe it's a tougher road to recovery, but you got a chance. Like Bryce Young, by the way, last year. I know he was benched because of poor play. It wasn't because of injury. But he got benched in Carolina later on in the season after they realized Andy Dalton was Andy Dalton once again. They threw back Bryce Young onto the field, and Bryce Young kind of salvaged his career. Like, if I'm Anthony Richardson, is this injury, and I get it's an orbital bone and all that stuff, but it was in like October, middle of October when this was suffered. How are you not ready to go by now?
Yeah, I haven't looked into when he's supposedly coming back or not.
I am operating under the assumption
not cleared to return is what I'm just reading here.
So that I'm operating under the assumption two things. One, this injury, it's a serious recovery process and he's just not ready to be healthy. Or number two, Anthony Richardson has PO'd so many people in that organization that even with him being the last resort, they don't even want to put him on the football field.
Definitely could be that.
How many kids do you have, by the way, Steve?
I have 2.
Could you imagine having 8 more kids?
No, I can't. I can't imagine having 1 more kid.
And how about
I don't mean that as a knock against my kids at all.
No,
but
you do.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm not looking to.
Celo's like my kids. Jeez,
no, they're 2 is a handful, man. Like I people that have gone to 3. Yeah, the standard term is, well, you go to zone defense.
Well, Monzo's like a hockey team, right?
Well, he's got 8, or maybe it's 9 now. I've lost track,
Monzo's like the Phillip Rivers and Antonio Cromartie of radio.
Yes, the only difference is he's not a grandfather yet.
Yeah, well, isn't that.
But he's
Phillip
also
Rivers,
he might be close to 44.
Have you ever met a 44-year-old
So I'm
grandfather?
going to be 40 in January. Have I met one? Not off the top of my head.
Right?
But they can exist, sure.
Well, yeah, obviously. I understand that. But
when you have 10 kids,
when
you probably started early.
When I saw that today, that he's a grandfather,
I had known that.
Wow.
I did know that. I know you were. I know you heard you reference that you were not aware one of his kids had a kid, but I did know that. I've seen some stuff the last couple of years since he retired on social media about that. Mm-hmm. But when it's now in context with him signing to a practice squad and potentially playing in the NFL again, it's a little bit more jarring.
Yeah, Sean Alexander, Phillip Rivers, Cromartie, you got to get a vasectomy.
Cool. Cromartie did.
Oh, did he?
That was always the story, and then he pumped out twins after that, I believe. So, I mean, I could have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the way that story went.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You think he knows any of the names of his kids? Cromartie?
I think he does now. I think he was embarrassed enough on that infamous Hard Knock scene that I would hope by now he's got that squared away.
The head football coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, will join us on the other side. Update time first. Here is a man that is not a grandfather, but he's a tremendous update anchor. He is Chris Lopresti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, want a winning retirement play? Own physical gold and silver. Text Advantage Gold today. It's easy. Text gold to 85545. That's gold to 85545 and request your free gold information kit or visit AdvantageGold.com. Message and data rates apply. Well, it is happening. Phillip Rivers, who, as Zach said, turned 44 years old just yesterday and has been out of the NFL since the 2020 season, has signed with the Colts practice squad. It instantly makes him the oldest player in the league. We'll see if and when he plays due to injuries that have depleted the Colts quarterback room, including that knee injury for third-string rookie Riley Leonard. His status for Sunday at Seattle is up in the air for now. Also, as Zach mentioned, Rivers' status as a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame will remain unaffected as long as he remains on the practice squad. Should he be elevated to the active roster, though, that clock would restart and his Hall of Fame candidacy would be delayed another 5 years. Baseball hot stove heating up quickly. Edwin Diaz is switching coasts as the closer leaves the Mets for the Dodgers. 3-year deal for a reported $69 million to join the 2-time defending World Series champions. Kyle Schwarber not going anywhere. He and the Phillies are said to be finalizing a 5-year, $150 million deal to keep the National League home run leader in Philadelphia. I'm Chris Lopresti.
Hey, it's Perloff from the Maggie and Perloff Show. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app. You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show. The Oregon Ducks are back in the college football playoff coming up on December 20th. They'll do battle in Eugene up against James Madison. And now joining us is the head football coach with the Oregon Ducks, and that, of course, is Dan Lanning. Coach, congratulations. Thanks for the time. How you been?
Doing good, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So the national narrative with your team the last few weeks was you guys control your own destiny. Some people were skeptical if you were going to beat both USC and Washington. I wasn't. I thought you guys were going to win both those games. But just wondering, after those two games played out the way that they did, and you now know that you're going back to the college football playoff, what did you learn about your team in the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, I really think the last three are completely different games, even going back to that Iowa game. And I guess Minnesota was in between there as well. But we've learned that we're a team that can win in multiple ways. We've got physicality. We can play great defense. We can score points on offense. Special teams has been a huge impact for us this season. So I think just the having the strength of a team that allows you to do those different things and prove that you can win in different ways is really important for us the last few weeks.
Last year, you guys jumped into a new conference. You were undefeated. You win the conference championship. You had that long layoff, and then it just didn't go your way up against Ohio State. The mentality of the group this year, how is it different maybe from the one a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, that team wanted to win too, right? We all want to win. I think it's the lessons learned and the way you did things. And just because you didn't have success doesn't mean you weren't doing things right. It just means you got to continue to tweak your process and figure out what makes you the best version of yourself. We played an outstanding team. And that Ohio State team last year, I think everybody recognizes that they were really good. But ultimately, we've made some tweaks on how we're going to prep, this season in comparison. I am excited about the fact that we have a game early. I think there's some strong benefits to that and making sure your team's able to stay fresh and play. Just continue to work on creating that routine of you go all season of you're playing every Saturday, and then all of a sudden you have a 25-day window or you have a 20-day window in between games. How you attack that, I think, is really, really important. So that's something we've really focused on.
And obviously, everyone would love to get a bye, but I think it's cool that now you have a home game in front of your fans. I actually think the teams on a bye should also get that, and maybe that's something they could tweak and make it figure out how to work it with the money moving forward. But what do you think that environment's going to be like coming up on that Saturday night?
Well, it's the first time it's ever happened in Autzen Stadium, so I think it'll be unbelievable. I know our fans are really excited about it. I know our players and our staff's excited about it. I expect Autzen's best, and this is just your chance to, show the world how special Autzen Stadium is, how special our fans are. So that's a high expectation for me.
Dan Lanning here with us. Sometimes we're antiquated in our beliefs, like in the old system before the college football playoff. If you lost one game, your season could be over. Now that's not the case. But after you guys lost to Indiana, a lot of people counted you guys out. Did this group feel that noise, and did you feel the disrespect?
I mean, you're always aware of it. You could say you're not. Like these guys have phones. You're aware of it. But the part that I think is really important is none of those people play the game. We do, right? And ultimately, if you're happy with where you're at or not happy with it, it's your fault, right? So it's our opportunity to go attack exactly where we're at and what we need to be able to do to improve and move forward. And that's how our team's attacked it this entire season. And realizing that they're the ones that make the impact on the field, go play the game.
Dan Lanning here with us. It's a testament to what you guys are doing at Oregon when other schools come calling to get your coordinators. Will Stein off to Kentucky, Tosh Lupoi obviously off to his school in Cal. Just how do you kind of envision this all going down? You've been in that spot before where you have to work two jobs when you get a bigger job in college football.
Well, it's a lot of juggling for them. It's tough. I want to be here for them to help them, get the advice that they need if they have a question. But ultimately, I know that feeling of I got this job because this team helped me get this job. And that feeling means you want to give everything you absolutely have to finish it the right way and send this team off on a high note. And I was really fortunate to get to do that at Georgia. You're not going to sleep a lot this next month. That's just the reality for both those guys. But we don't sleep that much anyway. So it's a lot of work. These are the kind of guys that are wired to be able to handle it. And I'm really excited for them and their future opportunities, but I'm really excited about finishing this thing off the right way.
Obviously, both those guys are going home, but for Kentucky fans and Cal fans, for the coaches respectively, what can they expect with the head coaches now they're getting?
Yeah, you got great ones. Obviously Cal, Tosh went to Cal. It's an area that he's always recruited extremely well, but it means a lot to him because it's exactly where he played. And I think he has a vision for that place and what they can become. He's the hardest worker I've ever been around, right? His work ethic is unmatched. He's a really intelligent coach that understands how to adapt and change with time. And then with Will, I see a lot of those same things, the energy, the offense that he's been able to create here and build off of what we've done here in the past. Obviously that place means a ton to him with his dad playing there. And they're fun challenges for both those guys. And what I've noticed about both of them is they're going to run into a challenge and attack it, and with all the confidence in the world that they're going to be able to accomplish the things they want to be able to accomplish there. And I wouldn't doubt, either one of them for a second. They're both outstanding coaches.
It's not a new world when it comes to coordinators leaving and getting head coaching jobs. But now in this college football playoff world, we've seen a lot of head coaches leave, and then some of them are doing both jobs at once. With John Summerall, obviously with Bob Chesney, who you guys are going to be going up against. You'll be seeing a lot of him with him now going to UCLA. Just from afar and what you know about him, what stands out with what he's been able to do at James Madison and what kind of coach he is?
Well, you follow his path and you recognize this is a guy that's a winner everywhere he's been. And I think there's an appreciation from guys like me that recognize, Bob's path and how he got there. It wasn't, maybe his dad's a coach. I don't know that. But you see a guy that took the long haul to get to where he's at and work his way up and, win at a small level and then win at a bigger level and then win at a bigger level. And that doesn't happen on accident. Winners win. So obviously he's a winner. I'm sure he would tell you that it's part of having an incredible staff and having great players, but there's some of that credit that has to go back his direction, and excited for what the future holds where we'll get to play these guys at UCLA, in the future. But obviously James Madison is the one right in front of us.
I've been very impressed with your quarterback this season, Dante Moore. At times he's been praised, at times he's been criticized. Wide receivers in and out of the lineup. Now getting him there for a full year playing, what really stands out and what has really impressed you with your quarterback?
Yeah, maturity, the level of growth. Like, this guy is super self-aware. I think that's one of the traits that doesn't exist a lot in football nowadays. People don't recognize what they recognize what they're good at, and they hear about it and they see it in the media, but they don't recognize the areas that they can improve and where they can grow. And Dante's a guy that's continued to grow every single week. He's extremely intelligent. He has great emotional control and command. I think the love for his teammates, the way these guys respond to Dante is really, really special.
I know that you're focused on this game. I know that you're focused on winning a national championship, but with his future, how do you kind of help him make that decision if it's best for him to return or maybe go off to the NFL?
I want Dante to do what's best for Dante. I think ultimately he's the only person that can, answer that question. And there's a lot of positives to both, right? There's a lot of positives to both opportunities. Every player dreams of the opportunity to become an NFL player. And Dante's got, a good circle of people around him that he trusts, that he's going to be able to lean on. It's tough that some of those decisions you feel like are having to be made earlier than they necessarily have to. But that's just the world that we live in. I think the biggest thing for Dante right now is to focus on exactly where you're at, be where your feet are, be able to attack this moment and realize how special it is. And then when the time comes to make some of those decisions, I know he'll be ready for it.
It's the world now. Everyone jumps around. But what Malik Benson did in his last game, just how nice was that to see? Because, man, he came up big for you guys down the stretch.
The last few games, right? Malik's been an incredible player for us. He's made a lot of big plays this season, and I'm really happy for him to be in a situation where he's able to take advantage of everything that was thrown at him. Obviously he's been dynamic in the return game for us. He's made some huge explosive plays on offense. He's an unbelievable teammate. This guy has a smile on his face every single day. I think he recognizes how, blessed he is with the opportunity to be here, and he's taking advantage of it every day.
What's the latest health-wise when you come to Corian Moore and then Gary Bryant Jr.?
Yeah, to be determined. Those guys are making great progress. I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for us to see these guys again before the season's done, but we'll see how it all plays out.
And then how about Evan Stewart? Because I know last time we talked in September or October on the show, there was optimism that maybe he could return. Is that still on the table for an Evan Stewart return?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, part of it is us protecting these players from themselves and making sure that when they're ready, they get that opportunity. So we'll see how it all plays out. These guys are working extremely hard, and I'm hopeful that we can see him out there.
Yeah, where is he at in his rehab process? Just wondering.
What's the right answer for you here? What do you mean?
Like how close is he to? Is he close to maybe playing or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's optimism. I know Ducks fans like to hear that. You never want to see injuries happen, but tough teams, really, they have to go through a lot of adversity. And you guys have that next man up mentality. I know it sounds cliche, but how true is that with your program this year, with the guys that had to step up when you have guys that unfortunately go down?
Yeah, you look at this team, and they've had unbelievable success, but it's because of the strength and numbers of this team, right? Whenever that next guy had to hop in and be in the middle of the ring, they were ready for that moment, and we've had that in a lot of different ways. I mean, we have a offensive line, for example, that's up for the Joe Moore Award, and the different hats that you've seen on that offensive line this season speaks to the job that Coach Terry does and speaks to the focus of those players on that unit. You know, we've had a lot of different hats play in there. The wide receiver room is a great example. You know, we haven't been healthy in that area. And for those guys to go attack it the way they have, I mean, I think it speaks volumes about them.
Just two more things, and I'll let you run, Dan Lanning. Obviously, Oregon going to be playing the college football playoff up against James Madison. You may think you know what you have in a team before the season starts, and then you find out through the course of the season what your team is. What have you learned this year about this group that maybe surprised you?
You know, I don't think you ever know that as a coach. I think a lot of people pretend to know. You know, I knew we had talent. I felt like we had good talent. I think the big question going into the season is, okay, you just sent 10 players to the NFL. Where's the leadership? Where's the experience? Well, at this point in the season now, when you're talking about game 12, 13, 14, you know, that's not something you're necessarily looking for anymore. You've seen experience. You've seen guys out on the field to make an impact. And I always talk about that in fall camp. There's somebody that's going to be making an impact that you didn't anticipate making an impact at the end of the season. I think you see that with our team.
Now, I got to ask you this at the end, just because we have a lot of Penn State fans that listen to the show, a lot of Oregon fans that listen to the show. We've all heard the Pat Kraft leaked audio and what he said about Oregon. When that came across your desk, just how did you respond to it?
Yeah, no response. You know, Pat's trying to do the best job that he can for Penn State, but yeah, I heard it. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of people, when they hear that, they go, next time Oregon plays Penn State, that's going to be a classic Dan Lanning hype-up speech in the locker room.
We'll see.
Hey, Dan, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck, good health with your program the rest of the way.
Thank you, Zach. Have a good one.
There you go. The head football coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, here with us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Always enjoy our conversations with Coach Lanning. And remember, that was a team last year, undefeated the entire way, Big Ten championship game winners, and they had to wait 30-something days. They just got smacked by Ohio State. Now this year, you get a home playoff game. You're the 5th seed. You're playing James Madison. You should be able to win. You should be able to get to the next round. And that's really when the season starts to go. Like, once they lost that game to Indiana, then after that, it just turned into, okay, how do you get back to the playoff? And then you could start to turn the narrative around where people jumped off the ship. Then maybe they start getting back on the bandwagon. Anthony Gargano, Philadelphia radio legend, going to join us on the other side. Is Jalen Hurts maybe on his way out in the city of brotherly love? We'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Eagles lose again, this time to Los Angeles Chargers. Man, what a terrible turnover that was by Jalen Hurts in overtime, and it looked like they were going to win the game. Kyle Schwarber, though, is re-signing with the Philadelphia Phillies, so let's tap into the Philadelphia sports radio world and the Philadelphia sports media world and get into everything that's going on there with Anthony Gargano, who is an institution in Philadelphia, and the Cuz is kind enough to join us right now. Cuz, how you been?
Brother, it's so good to see you, pal. Always. Look great.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on board with us. So let's start with the Eagles. You know, A.J. Brown the last 3 weeks, I know he dropped the ball left and right last night, but he's having these 100-yard games, and for the wildest time, we were like sitting there, we're saying, wow, A.J. Brown's doing nothing, A.J. Brown's doing nothing. That's the crazy part to me is A.J. Brown is producing statistically, and this offense still sucks.
Yeah, you know, there's a problem. There's a real disconnect with Jalen right now, and they got to figure out a way to get him back into rhythm. There's no rhythm with this offense. Now, obviously, the O-line is banged up. I mean, you see it week in, week out. You know, Saquon finally hits a big one, a big home run ball, but it was a gadget play, right? It was off the tush push. They got to get consistency with the run game and then get Jalen into rhythm. That hasn't happened. You know, they've tried different things. What has worked is him under center. That's when they looked best because then you can get play action involved. The biggest issue with him in shotgun is he doesn't run the ball. They don't have him using in the run game. He was so valuable in the run game. It helped get that offense going downhill. Everything with them has been a struggle. It's been a labor. And you saw it again last night.
Yeah, even the 2 games that they won, like they beat the Packers, they beat the Lions. The defense was championship caliber. But this team, they're looking like 2023. Like last year, they faced some adversity. They won a Super Bowl. This is looking like the 2023 version of the Eagles.
And here's the problem, right? In 23, Zach, the defense was a mess. Here, you just said it. This is a Super Bowl defense. Last night, there was one breakdown on the first drive of the game that winds up the long touchdown pass. Other than that, to the back, this defense has been awesome. They had 7 sacks last night. Herbert was a warrior. The broken bone in the hand. He's got the contraption on his left arm, and they're still attacking him. He ran for 66 yards out of necessity and survival. That defense is that good. That's why I keep wondering, this can't be 23 over again, because the defense is too good.
And here's the other thing, too, when we get back to the quarterback. I've never seen anything like this. The guy just won a Super Bowl MVP a year ago. And, this offseason, people are saying, oh, Tanner McKee's looking good. And now he's not playing well. What is Jalen Hurts as a quarterback to you?
Great question. I think he's at his best when he's involved in the run game and he's playing point guard. He's a very good quarterback when he's a point guard. And that means he's playing the position that way, right? It's 3rd and 4. I need 4 for the first down. He runs for 5, right? He gets the ball out quick. He does those sorts of things where he's distributing the ball. And I use the point guard analogy because I think that's the best way to describe him when he's at his best. He's never going to be, Mahomes, where he extend plays and he's going to make those big plays down the field. He's going to dart you with his arm. That's not who he is. He, to me, is a point guard. Look, the McKee thing, you're not going to bench Jalen, right? That's not going to happen. I think there's a reason why McKee's still here. They like him. If something ever happened to him, they feel good with McKee as his backup. But they got to figure out this offense with Hurts as the quarterback.
And he's definitely going to be back next year. I know Howie Roseman could be a wild card, but with the dead cap is, the guy just won a Super Bowl a year ago. Doesn't Jalen at least have to be back as the starter next year?
Look, I'll never say when it comes to Howie, I'll never say 100%. Is there a world where McKee is the quarterback, a plane of existence? I guess. I will never rule anything out when it comes to Howie. He structured the contract so he can get out of it. It's not a death knell. If you would have asked me, did I see a world without Carson Wentz? I would say, nah. And look what happened. I'm praying that this is not Wentz 2.0. I don't think it is. Wentz was not the greatest when it came to the locker room. Jalen's different. So I don't know, but I can't when it comes to Howie, I'll never say never.
Now, don't get me wrong. Carson Wentz is a pain in the ass in the locker room, but I wonder, and Jalen Hurts gets praised for his leadership, but I noticed this. I remember when they went to the NFC Championship game the first time and they beat the Niners and they advanced to the Super Bowl before they lost to Kansas City. He didn't even seem happy after they won. And I get it, the whole job not done yet, the Mamba mentality, all that stuff. I respect it.
Yeah.
But I think we need to see a little bit more emotion from Jalen Hurts. And I think that could be a little bit of a disconnect in the locker room.
Well, no. That's not who he is, Zach, right? You're never going to see – I know we crave that because we want to see some, visible evidence. That's not who he is, right? That's not him. That's never been him. That wasn't him in Alabama. That wasn't him at Oklahoma. It's never been him. He's a guy that's pretty stoic. He's a guy that's pretty, unto himself. I don't hear any issues in the locker room with him. Wentz was a little different. Wentz was pretty tough to get through. You remember he needed to be coached hard by his quarterback coach. Jalen's had a lot of coordinators, a lot of different coaches. And I don't hear those things about him.
Do you think A.J. Brown will be back next year? Can they rectify this with Hurts and Brown on the same team?
And yeah, I think they can. You see the connection over the last 3 weeks. The issue now is their defense. You said it, championship caliber, and their defense is a lot of guys need to get paid off that defense, right? Like you got a lot because they were so young, how he hit all the drafts. You're going to have to figure out who you're paying. So from that standpoint, I could see them moving on from AJ.
Now, let me ask you this. Patullo gets a lot of blame. Sirianni gets a lot of blame. AJ gets a lot of blame, and so does the quarterback. Who's the biggest culprit here in all this, in your estimation?
So don't forget the O-line, right? And the O-line is a big piece of this, right? The O-line, and it's because they're banged up. I mean,
but you know this. The O-line, it's not a sexy talking point unless if we're talking to Baldy, you know?
I mean, like, listen, if I want to, you're right. But from a football standpoint, you can't take that. That offensive line was the best in football. You see it everywhere. Look at the Chargers. They lost both their tackles. That offense is tough, right? It's not as productive because they lost Slater and Alt. Look at the Chiefs. The reason why the Chiefs are 6-7, the 6-7, is because their O-line is just banged up to all nth. So yeah, that's a big piece of it. Hurts is a big piece of it. I mean, look, Sirianni's got to be able to fix this thing too. You come from that side of the ball. This is your offense. Even though somebody's calling the plays, your offense, your design, like you got to fix it. So yeah, he gets a big piece of it. He's the head coach.
Do you have any optimism? And you're a very optimistic guy. You look for the positives. I know you, cuz Anthony Gargano. Is there any optimism that this team can turn it around and get to a Super Bowl?
I'm always positive. You're right. I'm always positive. Look, I mean, I think last night they showed you who they are. They usually win those games. Mm-hmm. That's what scares me, is that they win, historically, that's a game that they find a way to win, and they found a way to lose, and that does not bode well for the playoffs. I don't know how you get this offense untracked, and if you got to go play Seattle or you got to outscore the Rams, right? I mean, Green Bay is looking better. I don't know, man. I think it's got to be a special thing where they just suddenly it clicks and they find it. I'm not feeling good about it.
When you get to Kyle Schwarber, re-signed him with the Phillies on a 5-year deal, what was the immediate reaction when that happened today?
He had to do it, right? And if look, it's a lot of money, I get it, but if you look at his career over 9 years, it comes out to $23.5 million a year. But here's the problem, right? I love that they re-signed Schwarber. Great. Now you need a right-handed power bat to pair him with, Zach. Otherwise, you're just repeating last year. You have to get – that's the one thing on Dombrowski's, I think, winter shopping list is a right-handed power bat to pair with Schwarber. I know it's going to cost the owner a lot of money. You got to get it.
Let me ask you this, too. I'll get back to the Eagles real quickly because this is always like, oh, Eagles, Cowboys, the Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts debate. Who would you rather have as your quarterback?
Wow. Prescott. I mean, look at the way Prescott gets the ball out. I still believe in Jalen, right? And it depends kind of what offense I'm around, but man, he's missing a lot of guys. And if you ask me who's playing better, it's not close. Prescott's playing better. Dak is getting the ball out. They have the same kind of thing, right? 2 elite receivers. And look at the Dallas offense. And they don't have Saquon running the ball. They got Javonte Williams. Dak's getting the ball out, man. He's playing some great quarterback right now.
And then just using your sport brain, last thing for Anthony Gargano, because I know you do the national show with Fox Sports Radio too. What was your reaction with the college football playoff, Alabama and Miami being left in and Notre Dame being left at home?
Notre Dame can't get left. I have them number 3 in my power rankings. Like, they're that good. They're that good. It's a shame, dude. Listen, it's criminal. This whole thing, nobody wants to see James Madison. What, are you serious? This is ridiculous. Like, you look at these teams. Come on. The eye test alone. You can't judge an August game. I get it. You play on the field. But they're better than Alabama, and they're better than Miami. It's a shame.
Yeah, I think the system needs to change. And, like, hey, we're both Temple guys, right? We love the smaller football programs. But let's be real. Either make a play-in tournament where, like, 11 plays 14, 12 plays 13 to decide the 11th and 12 spots, and you still give those guys a chance. Or maybe it's just best if we get a non-Power 4 college football playoff and then a Power 4 conference college football playoff.
I think you need to have 2 tiers, right? This way you can institute relegation, all that stuff. You can have some fun with it, right? Like if you had a whole 2-tier type of thing, You can figure that out. I completely agree. There need like you look around the Big Ten and SEC. That's a grind. Like it doesn't compare to the ACC. It doesn't compare to the Big 12. Those teams, you're flying all over the country. They're two much better leagues. They need to create an AFC and an NFC. Let the SEC and the Big Ten gobble up the best other teams, whack it up in the divisions, and let's call it what it is. It's professional football part 2.
Now, last thing I'll ask you. I know your sports takes are always fire, but the food takes are better. What's on the dinner table tonight in the Gargano household?
Actually, going out to dinner to a place called Aroma in South Philly. All right. Tony, the chef, is from Italy, so I'm sure that there'll be some great veal dish. Right? Some great pasta. Try to veal, it's the best in the city. And we're going with David Boreanaz, a son of Philadelphia who's a great actor. He's home for the holidays, so meeting David for dinner.
Have you been to this new spot, Borromini, I think is the name of it in Philadelphia?
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I had reservations, but it was so damn late. I ended up, I think it was Anthony and Sons or something like that I went to, which is a really good restaurant. But glad to hear Borromini is good because I've heard a lot of things about it. I got to try it next time I'm in Philly.
It's very good. When you get in, let me know because I got to go to take to see Mr. Tony.
Okay. Right? You got it. Cuz, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Always great talking to you, my brother. Proud of you.
There you go. The great Anthony Gargano joining us on the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. One of my favorite people in the business. That guy is just a ball of energy. He really is. He used to do these promotional reads when I was just, living in Philly and all that stuff. And when he was hosting his radio show. And it was like this product. It was called like Bagster. And the Bagster product, it's like a dumpster in a bag. And he would do these reads like, Anthony Gargano here. You got some trash. You got to throw it in the Bagster. It's dumpster in a bag. And they would go to these remotes with the Bagster. And they would throw items into it. So like, you remember that Vikings old fan? They were like, her name was Millie or something. So before the Eagles played the Vikings in the NFC Championship game, they're doing a remote on location. And one of the callers is like, we're going to throw Millie in the Bagster. And it's like this 90-year-old something Vikings fan, but that's Philadelphia radio. Yeah, that is Philadelphia radio to a T. Always great to have Anthony Gargano on the show. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I mean, the coolest part of the whole conversation was the fact that he's going out with David Boreanaz.
Yeah, is that a big deal to you?
So, did you ever watch, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
No.
With Sarah Michelle Gellar? He played, like, her love interest, Angel, like the main guy. And then he had a spin-off of the show Angel, and he was the lead on the show Bones.
So here's the thing.
He's a badass.
When it comes to musicians and actors and actresses, if they're not in my wheelhouse, like if I don't sit there and religiously watch the show, or if I don't have their music on my phone, like I may see them before, I may know who they are, but there's just something in my brain where if I haven't seen religiously and I'm not like a fan of their product, like a P1, there's just something about it when the name gets mentioned, it doesn't register with my name. So, David, what's the last name?
Boreanaz, Boreanez, something like that.
Okay.
EZ.
Oh, yeah, I know who this guy is.
Yeah, you would recognize his face. Yeah. He was big time on Buffy. I was a big Buffy fan back in the day.
Tell you, you go eat with the cuz. That dude's like the mayor of Philly. Hey, regardless, like any big names, anything, that they always go hang out with Anthony Gargano. I remember one year we had a Super Bowl. It was me. I think Baldy was there, Brian Baldinger, Gargano, and Steve Spagnuolo when he was like out of the NFL, just like out at one of these Super Bowl parties. We were having a good time. A lot of drinks were definitely flowing that night. There is no doubt about that. Gargano, though, he's just a legend.
So is he a Geno's or a Pat's guy? I just wanted to see your face.
Well, here's the thing. Gargano plays into Philadelphia. He'd be like, Philadelphia institutions. Like, he would do that. But, like, my favorite cheesesteak shop just closed down after, like, 50-something years. Mama's in Bala Cynwyd. Oh, the owner was going to shut down anyway at the end of the year, but he had some health problems. So I guess now it's, the preeminent spot is Angelo's. which is what Danny and Coops here is in New York City. So Angelos is the preeminent spot right now. I still like D'Alessandro's too. There's a place, I think it's in Fishtown, Joe's Soda Shop, which is pretty damn good as well. They make a good cheesesteak as well, Joe's Soda Shop. But yeah, you got a lot of Del Rossi's, I believe, is another good one. There's a place. It's right before you enter Philly, in Jersey, like right as you're going down the turnpike. Oh, Lilo's Tomato Pie. Their cheesesteak, bleeping good. Bleeping good.
But can it be a Philly cheesesteak if it's Jersey?
Yeah. No, it's like 10 minutes from Philadelphia, 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you can have sparkling white wine or
No.
champagne, and the only champagne comes from a certain, region in France.
But I didn't say North Jersey or South Jersey is practically Philadelphia.
But it is a different state, and it is not the same.
Yeah, but you know how many friends I say, like, oh, I'm from Philly, and they live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Well, they're liars. Your friends are liars.
But they still have the cheat. It's 10 minutes away.
It borders it.
Yeah,
It borders it.
It's in the
you
the
ask
hovering
you
circumference.
ask the people in that town, they say they're from Philly. You ask people from Philly, are those guys Philadelphians? And they'll say, hell no.
No, but it's all the same kind of people. Everyone's cousins down there. No, that's just the bottom line. But Lilo's Tomato, like if you went down to the Jersey Shore and you went to White House Subs or not Sacco's, that was a place that was around. What's the Dino's? And you got a cheesesteak. It's a good cheesesteak. They make good cheesesteaks
I'm
there.
not knocking it as a cheesesteak. It could be a cheesesteak. It's just not a Philly cheesesteak.
No, it is. It is. You're telling me Danny and Coops, which is Angelos, which is the happening spot in Philly. It's the same damn thing in New York City. That's not a Philly cheesesteak. Now, like, if you just, it is. But if you just went to a random place and they do like a Philly cheesesteak, yeah, I would be skeptical of it. But they're coming from Angelos.
There are certain things that have to come from a certain area for that name to apply.
Okay, what
Hence,
happens?
Champagne is from Champagne, France, and everything outside of that region is just sparkling white wine.
Mark Eckel, by the way, the longtime football reporter, just texted me. John Roast Pork and Tony Luke's. John Roast Pork does make a good cheesesteak. Tony Luke's, I like. I don't love. I like. Tony Luke's is good. I don't love it though.
I've heard of Tony Luke's. I think the Man versus Food guy did he ate the gigantic sandwich.
Yeah.
I think that put it on. I think it was already famous before that.
So there was a place, Steve's Prince of Steaks. I know they shut down a bunch of locations. I think one or two is still open. And my friends that lived in Philly, they used to be like, "Oh, Steve's Prince of Steaks the best," and I would take them to Mama's, and every single person would be like, "Yeah, I don't want to say you're right, Gil, but you are right." So it's a war there in Philadelphia. Like there's a place called Ishkabibbles, which is pretty solid. It's solid. I don't think it's great. And there's a place, Sonny's Famous Steaks, is also solid too.
So one thing I've learned when it comes to food, and nothing to knock Mama's, and we'll break after this, but unless you have the two items side by side and you taste them at the same time, it's so hard to recall the taste and the flavor. And then in that moment, maybe you were just really hungry, so it just tastes better than it normally would. You have to have them side by side to be able to definitively determine which is the better one.
Yeah, if you're a Joe. But if you're a pro, you just remember what the taste is like, and you savor it. That's the bottom line. 20 after the hour, this is the Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Sam, what were you eating today? Like every day, you walk in with some just peculiar food. Today you had French fries in a sandwich.
Hashtag Samter Lunch. This was a big hashtag when the network started back in 2013.
Snacks. That's what you should have
called. Mike Biseglia would tweet out my lunches every day. This was it's a Greek place. It's a Greek truck down the street. Okay. And it was a chicken kebab. They put the French fries on the actual pita. It is incredible.
Sometimes I don't know how you stay awake for the whole show. Because you eat a gluttonous amount for lunch, and then you sit behind that board. I just don't know how you do it. I'd be falling asleep.
You keep me busy.
I would be asleep.
The second I get home, conked out.
Yeah. You say hello to your daughter, and then it's... Samter's going schluffy. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We're coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, I just want to ask a simple question here. Just give me a yes or a no. Are the Kansas City Chiefs dead for this season? Yes or no? Jack Carty.
I say yes.
Samter, are the Kansas City Chiefs dead for this season?
Not dead, but like they're on the gurney and they got the paddles out. They're not dead, but they're not far off.
I think they're dead. And here's why. Right now, here are your wild card teams at the season ended today. The Chargers, who were 9-4, the Bills, who were 9-4, and the Texans, who were 8-5. Even if the Bills end up winning the division, the Patriots right now have 11 wins, so the Patriots would be a wild card team, right? So there's no way that even if the Bills get the division, that the Patriots fall out of the playoff race altogether, and the Chiefs, right, they're obviously not winning the division, so they're going to have to get one of these wild card spots. So you look at the Chiefs, they have 6 wins. You know, even if the Texans win the division, are the Jaguars right now at 9 wins not going to make the playoffs? No, they're going to. So, like, I'm just looking at this. With the Chargers winning last night, like if the Chargers would have lost last night and they would have been 8-5, it's an outside chance, it's a remote chance, but there's still a chance. But right now, you're looking at the wild card teams where the Chargers are 9-4, the Bills are 9-4, and the Texans are 8-5. Even if one of those wild card teams end up being division winners, the team that loses out in the division is still going to be better than Kansas City. And, you know, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, like that's just one spot. It's not going to be 2 spots. But right now, even though both teams are 6-7, you're going to have the Ravens. The Ravens are in front of the Chiefs. And this 6-7 stuff, by the way, I know I say it a lot. Isn't it getting to be a little bit too much, if we're just being honest?
Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. I see people go like this all the time. I'm like, okay, can we please just stop doing that?
But when does it end? Because now,
I don't know.
For example, I wasn't even doing it intentionally yesterday.
Of course.
I was talking to, no, for the Chiefs I was. Because I was being a jackass.
Yeah, right.
But when we had Chris Peterson on, I said something like, oh, they're like 6 or 7 teams or something like that. And just right away, I'm like, oh, I said it. I got to do the hand motion. Like, when does that end? But getting back to the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're 6-7 right now. See, like, you have to do the stupid hand motion. Like, CeeLo, how old are your kids?
9 and 6.
Oh, so, too bad they're not 6 or 7.
Well,
that would have been awesome
I'm
if
glad
you said
that they're
6 and
not.
7.
Thank you. I get enough of it as it is.
So, like, your kids come home from school. Like, when were you introduced to 6-7?
Honestly, Brian Daboll was the first one that introduced me to it. If you recall, during his press conference when he slipped that in there and no one in the media knew what the heck he was talking about, they had to circle back like a couple days later. Yeah. But shortly thereafter, my kids, 6, 7, and 41. That's another one too.
41?
Yeah, I don't. It's just like a spinoff, I guess.
The first time I saw the 6-7 joke, it was like on social media, and I thought someone's math was just wrong, and they messed up like a 69 joke.
Yeah,
But this doesn't stop. Anytime I hear 6 or 7, it's right away. You got to do the hand motion.
Yeah. I've had about enough of it myself.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I think today I'm at my ends meet.
This is it?
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we don't get to decide when it goes away.
But that's the thing. When does it go away? And then the other thing is like my brain now, whenever I hear the numbers 6, 7, it's like you do the hand motion right away.
Right.
You know, even Anthony Gargano, who's like, you know, an older guy, has been in this for a while. He's even been making 6-7 jokes with us.
You've heard it on radio broadcasts of NFL games. You've heard it on TV broadcasts of NFL games.
Even last night, Joe Buck, he said the record. He's like, oh, all the kids are going wild. It's like, let's be real.
Yeah.
What kids were up that late to see the end of that game
I'm
last
sure
night?
plenty of kids are. I mean, my 9 and 6-year-olds sometimes stay up till 10 o'clock. So maybe not the end of the game, but, you know.
Would they watch they do these Nickelodeon, as a dog would say, Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Last night, I guess it was Monsters, Inc. on the broadcast.
Yeah, no, I think I can't speak for other people's kids, but my boys are
football guys.
They're heavy, just sports. So they want the full sports experience.
They don't want SpongeBob SquarePants.
No, maybe a few years back. I mean, my 6-year-old's young, but he wants to do everything the 9-year-old does, and the 9-year-old's a little bit more. He plays football. Mm-hmm. So he's not really looking for the cartoon broadcast.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, so he's a real football. He's a real sport guy.
Yes.
Anyway, getting back to the Chiefs. Do me a favor here, CeeLo. Win-loss. They play the Chargers this upcoming weekend. Game's in Kansas City.
Win.
Then they're at the Tennessee Titans.
Win.
Then they play the Broncos in Arrowhead. That's a night game.
I'll say loss, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a run here. Go ahead.
And then the Raiders, last game of the season.
Win.
Okay, so they're going to get 3 or 4 more wins. If they get 3, it's 9.
3 is fair. Yeah.
If it's 4, it gets 10. And that's the thing. Even if they run the table,
it's tough.
I still don't see them making the playoffs because the Bills right now are at 9. They're a wild card team. The Texans are at 8, and they just beat the Chiefs. And the Texans, they play the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Colts. Okay, like the Chargers are tough, but the Colts, Raiders, and Cardinals aren't.
All right, so that's 2 wild card teams, assuming they don't run down the Broncos.
Yeah, and then the final one right now would be the Texans. Wait, no, I just gave you the Texans, the Bills. Oh, the Chargers, who I know they play again, but the Chargers got their 9th win of the season last night.
Yeah, the road is tricky.
And
they've done themselves no favors.
Now, they play the Chiefs. See, the Chargers are going to be a team that has to projectile vomit because the Chargers play the Chiefs, so the Chiefs can beat the Chargers.
They have to win that game, obviously.
Then they play the Cowboys, who are a competent team.
Yep.
Then they play the Texans, and they play the Broncos. So I think the road, because even if the Bills don't, like, even if they win the division, New England's already at 11, they're going to get in.
Yeah.
Like, if the Texans end up winning the division, the Jaguars are at 9 wins, they're already going to get in. The Chargers, that win last night, I really think it's the final nail in the coffin because even if the Chiefs win out and they get to 10 wins, like the Chargers, 2-2, I guess maybe asking them a lot, but if they get 2 more wins, they're at 11, and then Kansas City can't get to 11.
Yeah.
It is wild that we're going to, and I give Carlos with the K credit because he said it before the start of the season. I thought he was just trying to get clicks. But he said the Chiefs weren't going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's the reverse of last year, right? Where they kept winning all those close games, and there wasn't a lot of margin for error, and the record was phenomenal in the one-possession games, and it's gone. I think their point differential, if I'm not mistaken, is a plus for the season. I could have that
the
wrong.
Chargers?
The Chiefs.
Oh, for the Chiefs.
I'm talking Chiefs last year. All those, what were they? Their record in one-score games.
Okay, gotcha,
and this
gotcha,
year,
gotcha.
while they haven't been embarrassingly bad or anything like that, but they've lost a lot of tight games.
Their point differential this year is
plus,
plus 63.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. That's
Yet here
the
they
Chargers is plus 28.
Right.
Like the Broncos, who are 11-2, they're only plus 73.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Chiefs got fat on a couple of teams. You look back at their scores, but the losses have been, tightly contested for the most part.
Do you want to take a guess who has the highest point differential in the AFC? Actually, this is in the it's not in the entirety of the NFL. The two highest point differential teams are in the NFC. Who do you think is the highest point differential team in the AFC?
The AFC.
I give you credit, Seal. I've never really looked at point differential.
I mean, I don't look at it regularly.
You're an analytics guy?
Here and there. Not in an obsessive way. I've always liked stats. To me, though, the reliance on pure analytics has gotten a little much for me. But I do like to look at numbers. Highest point differential in the AFC. Trying to think of what division. You told me you already said the Bronco one out loud, didn't you?
Yeah, the Broncos
so
are 73. They are, let's see, they are, by quick look, I think they're 4th in the AFC.
I mean, record would lead you to believe it's the Patriots.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
Patriots are plus 110.
Yeah.
Then the Colts are plus 91.
That's going to be coming down.
Yeah. And then the Texans are 75 and the Broncos are 73. In the NFC, you want to hear how crazy this is?
Rams have got to be up there.
The Rams are 2nd, plus 152. The Seahawks are 1st at plus 161.
All right. A couple had a shutout last week.
The next highest,
2 weeks ago.
Lions plus 90, Packers plus 75, and then here's the fall off. Niners plus 38, Eagles plus 18. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the NFC with the positive point differential. Everyone else is in the red. We're in the AFC. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
6, 7. So there you go. That would tell you that in those. Is it? I always forget. Is it inter or intra? Interconference, intra-conference match, whatever. AFC versus
8,
NFC.
Excuse me, 8 with the positive point
in the
differential.
NFC.
In the AFC.
In the AFC. That's what I mean. Yeah. So the AFC's had the better of the AFC NFC matchups.
Say it again. You're asking inside the conference.
Inter or intra, like when they face each other.
Isn't it intra?
I think you're right. That's why. But
where did you go to school?
Quinnipiac.
Okay, so you're a little bit more intelligent than I am.
I don't know about that.
Samter. Actually, Jack Carty, where did you go to school?
I went to the University of Scranton, Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Okay, so you're in our boat.
Yeah.
Samter, you went to Boston University. Is it intra or what is it? Inter?
Yeah, inter or intra. That's what I'm deciding between.
So intra is within and inter is without. So AFC versus NFC would be inter.
Inter.
And AFC versus AFC would be intra.
He's correct.
Okay, so
He's correct.
So I don't think I was like the college football playoff committee.
So we're looking for inter
My math
conference.
didn't make sense, but I got to the right answer.
That's right.
So there you go. Chris Lepresti is here with us. Can I ask you a personal
You can
question
ask
here?
me anything you'd like.
Okay.
It's gonna be about my haircut.
No.
Oh, okay.
You're doing a skin fade, right?
Yeah, it's a little different. I got a glimpse of it on the monitor here on your.
Is it a bad haircut? Are people giving you crap about that? I think the haircut
No,
looks
it's
good.
not. It's just it's loud and it's fresh. I just got it
Well,
yesterday.
you're a TV guy now, so
yeah,
you gotta do,
you know what it
do up
is.
the
My
hair.
hair is dark and thick, so when I get a haircut, I like to take it short so that it lasts me a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But anyway, your question.
Yeah, so sometimes I've been in this spot where you can't defend yourself when you take a beating on the radio.
Sure.
Well, what happened a few weeks ago? Did you just blow off the shift?
For the folks that don't know what you're referencing.
Yes,
When
so-
I didn't show up for work for Boomer and Geo on the local side here, WFAN morning show.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I didn't blow off the shift. You know me long enough
Yeah,
to know I wouldn't do
that's
that.
what I assumed.
No, it was one of those,
Late night out?
No. Scheduling snafus, and it slipped through the cracks. Ultimately, it was my responsibility because I should have caught it. And, yeah.
So here's where I will defend you. When you say that it slipped through the cracks, were you informed of this shift?
No, but ultimately, when the schedules go out, we're asked to check them and confirm shifts. No, I mean, we are. That's what they ask us to do in every email. Hey, please confirm your shifts with us. And what ended up happening was I opened the prior week thinking it was that week in question when I was not on the schedule. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
So
and I wasn't. I was supposed to be in, and I didn't realize it.
So I give you a pass for that. And I was waiting to just get you in person because if you weren't told, like, hey, CeeLo, we want you to work this Monday, and then they just send the email out with the attachment, I think that's more in management.
I mean, look, you know how it works around here. The schedule is very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of not just on air, but behind the scenes shifts that have to get filled. So I think to reach out individually to each person every time they send the schedule out is probably asking a bit much. We're asked to send our availability, and then when the schedule goes out, you're supposed to confirm the shifts that you've been scheduled for. So ultimately, I missed it. I didn't open the right schedule. I didn't confirm the shift. And long story short, Monday morning came, and I was supposed to be there, and I wasn't.
You know,
And it was one of those nights where I turned my phone fully off.
Oh.
I got home from local TV, SNY, at about, 1 a.m. I wasn't tired. I stayed up watching TV till about 2:30. And I was like, let me turn my phone off. My kids will wake me up when it's time for school anyway. So 8 o'clock came. They woke up. I turned the phone on, and bing, 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 text messages, voicemails, the whole 9 yards.
You know, CeeLo, you got to check the schedule.
That's funny.
You just got to
As you do your Mark Chernoff impression, that happened once before, a similar thing when he was still here.
Mm-hmm.
And before they could track me down, they popped him on the air, and he was like, "This is not good." No,
Not
they were
good.
worried like I got in a car accident or something.
yeah.
Something bad happened.
arrested.
And he was just like, "Nah, this is not good."
So
no.
does Ryan Hurley, one of our new bosses, well, not new anymore, but does he call you and he's like, hey, like, well, what happened?
I mean, I preempted it. As soon as I woke up, called into the morning show, fell on the sword and took my medicine on the air with Boomer and Geo. I shot text messages to both Ryan Hurley and David Mayernick, who handles the schedule, and
I think you should
covered
fight
all
back.
my bases.
I think you should stop falling on the sword.
I
Fight
don't
back.
know, man. When you're in the position I am, when you fight back, it usually ends poorly. It's a lose. You can't win. You got to just take your lumps. And all the people in your life that listen, I can't. What happens? You know how many times I've answered this question in the last couple of weeks? It's unbelievable.
All righty, let's get the latest sports update with the man that showed up to work on time today, the very diligent Chris Lepresti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
All right, and it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is proud to support veterans and small businesses with its annual Keys to Progress vehicle giveaway program, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com. Phillip Rivers, who turned 44 years old just yesterday and has been out of the NFL since the 2020 season, has indeed signed on with the Colts practice squad, instantly making him the oldest player in the league. Also older than Colts head coach Shane Steichen and offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter. We'll see if and when Rivers plays, thanks to an injury-riddled Colts quarterback room, including a knee injury for third-string rookie Riley Leonard, whose status for Sunday at Seattle is up in the air, at least for the time being. Rivers' status as a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame will remain unaffected as long as he remains on the practice squad, as opposed to being elevated to the active roster. Baseball hot stove moves today. Closer Edwin Diaz leaving the Mets for the Dodgers. It's a 3-year deal for a reported $69 million to join the two-time defending World Series champs. Kyle Schwarber is staying on with the Phillies as he is said to be finalizing a 5-year, $150 million deal, and that will keep the National League home run leader in Philadelphia hitting those bombs in front of the home crowd at Citizens Bank Park. I'm Chris Lopresti.
Hey-o, this is Pat Boyle. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, the Defensive Player of the Week is brought to you by the Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. This week's Defensive Player goes to Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, winner of the Bronco Nagurski Award for the best defensive player in college football. In the Big 12 title game against BYU, Rodriguez dominated with 13 total tackles, upping his total to 114 on the season to go along with an FBS best 7 forced fumbles. I'm looking at the Bronco Nagurski Award winners since 2004. Listen to these names. Derek Johnson, who was at Texas. Elvis Dumerville, who was at Louisville. James Laurinaitis, who was at Ohio State. Glenn Dorsey, oh, what a throwback that was, who was at LSU. Brian Arakpo, who was at Texas. Ndamukong Suh, Nebraska. Daquan Bowers, Clemson. Luke Kuechly, Boston College. Manti Te'o, Notre Dame. Aaron Donald, Pittsburgh. Scooby Wright, Arizona. Tyler Medikevich, Temple University. Jonathan Allen from Alabama. Bradley Chubb, NC State. Josh Allen out of Kentucky. Chase Young out of Ohio State. Zaven Collins, linebacker, Tulsa. Will Anderson won it back-to-back years from Alabama. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. And then this year's past winner, obviously, Jacob Rodriguez. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Abilene, Texas. The Ohio State Buckeyes, they have fallen to number 2, and they will be the 2 seed in the college football playoffs as they are on a bye after losing the Big Ten championship game to Indiana. And here is Mike in Abilene, Texas, who is our resident Ohio State super fan. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Zachary, best on the waves, brother. Thanks for taking my call. Man, if you notice, there's no, the tone this year is much different. We got the monkey off our back, man. The slide's over, so definitely disappointed in a loss. You know me, man. I try to read through lines that aren't even there. Did we dial down the playbook because the conference championships don't mean anything anymore? You know what I mean? Like, feels like we didn't really do a lot. We ran the same running play a bunch of times. It wasn't very successful. So I don't know. No knock on Indiana. Actually, it's good for college football that Indiana is this good. I'm interested to see the playoffs, man. The Notre Dame thing, you know me, man. I'm not a Notre Dame fan, clearly, but I think it's just one of those things where clearly it's going to need changes. It's still great. I mean, obviously, if I was a Notre Dame fan, I'd be super pissed. But, this is awesome. This is what we need. Are Tulane and James Madison going to get smacked? Yeah, probably. I don't like rematches in the CFP, at least not in the first round. And the Tulane Ole Miss thing, I think they already played earlier this season and Tulane smacked them. So you got to be better about that.
Yeah. But here's the thing: you do get Alabama, Oklahoma in a rematch, and that was a close game.
That's a little different. Yeah.
And I think Alabama's going to win. I think Alabama's going to win that game. I think Oklahoma's defense is unbelievable. Yeah. But I think everyone's going to crush Alabama for getting in the college football playoff, and you usually know how that works. They end up winning.
Well, and I think, again, I try not to read too much into these things, but I was sitting there watching the game, feeling like our offense was a little lackluster. Now, they did get some sacks, which we're not used to. So for me, I look at the positives of, man, we've played the first. You've heard me all year. We don't have any challenges. We don't have any obstacles. Michigan was a mental thing. They're not a talent thing. This one was our first true test, and we failed. We failed the test. We missed a field goal, uncharacteristic. We just couldn't get going on offense. So I'm really excited.
The coaching stunk. So it's 13-10, even in the third quarter. I believe it was still 13-10. And
take the field goal, Ryan.
Well, yes, I agree with you on that front. I think they did it backwards. Like on the third
Yeah,
down play,
they did it in the opposite order.
The third down play, they pass it, run the damn ball. Then on fourth down, they elect to go for it, and you do a QB sneak from 1.5 yards out. That's way too long, and you didn't get it. So, like, kick the field goal in that spot and take the points. In the fourth quarter, when they threw the ball on third down, I couldn't believe it. And then when they sent the field goal kicker out there, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, run the ball on third, run the ball on fourth. Bo Jackson has become a really good player. And pound the ball, into the end zone. And that's the that's the thing. If I'm an Ohio State fan, that's the one thing. And you said it. They haven't really been tested this year. They just got tested after a great week, beat Michigan, all that stuff. And if the game gets close, if the game is in the balance in the fourth quarter, as great as this team is, if you give the other team a chance, Ryan Day, when the game is tight, that's where I question him.
Well, and we've been in this position before, and it was very, very eerily similar. So for me, my
Michigan
thing
last
is,
year, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When he gets into a spot where, man, we've got to make a good play call. I know you're not the play caller, but you're the head coach. You know what we're calling. So, if you don't feel confident, if you do, you know what I mean? Just make more of a stand and make it more definitive. I don't feel like we played our offensive game. I will say I was really impressed with the crowd. Now, I don't recall seeing or hearing at all during the game the numbers on, Ohio State travels well, so I know we probably had a lot there. But, man, it felt like it was louder than the week before. So I feel like, hey, Indiana, the Hoosier University is right down the street from that. Maybe they had a good home crowd influence, which, again, that's what we need. That we needed this type of game earlier in the season so that when it showed up in the Big Ten championship, we knew how to get through stuff like this. I'm glad.
Mike, I got to let you run just because we're up against it and it's going to cut you off. So appreciate Mike in Abilene, Texas, as always, for calling the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And, yeah, I guess that Texas game was technically close, 14-7. The SEC will tell you, they only lost by 7. But you never actually felt like Ohio State was going to lose that game to Texas earlier in the season. We'll see from here on out, though, because Ohio State has the talent. Now can they finish once again?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We had Dan Lanning on the program earlier today, the head football coach at Oregon. We'll replay some of that conversation for you, and we'll play some cuts out of that coming up at 5:40 p.m. Eastern time. But it is a Tuesday, so it's time to get to a little overreaction, proper reaction. We get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2,
Another football week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
Alrighty, Sam, so what do we got cooking today?
All right, let's start with last night's game. The Chargers have been decimated by injuries this year, losing both of their star offensive tackles and their starting running back for the season. Now, despite beating the Eagles last night and getting Omar and Hampton back, Justin Herbert had to play just days after having surgery on his non-throwing hand, and Jim Harbaugh lauded his star quarterback.
Justin Herbert, he's a superhero. He is a competitive maniac. I mean, he was even stiff-arming guys, with the broken hand. He had surgery a week ago, and out here tonight. It felt like I was in like we were in a movie. The quarterback's doing these, and it's like you get to the point where you go, okay, this is getting a little unrealistic. That's what it felt like to me. He is just he refuses to lose. He's as tough as they get. He's a superhero quarterback.
Overreaction, proper reaction. Herbert and the Chargers should get a pass if they go one and done in the playoffs again.
Can I ask a follow-up on this?
No.
Well, I'm going to do so anyway.
Okay.
So pay attention.
I'll allow
Could he, is this based off if he plays well and they lose? Or is it, he plays poorly and they lose? Because I think it's a different conversation.
I think really for me it's based off of just if he plays poorly, maybe it's because his offensive line has been decimated, or because he's working with a rookie running back who's been injured most of the season, or his receivers have been in and out of injury as well. So does he get the excuse because of all the injuries?
So I think it matters how they lose. If Herbert plays well and they lose, I am with you. I could sit there and say, hey, you lose Rashawn Slater. You lose the other tackle that they had, Joe Alt. No Najee Harris, even though you got Amari and Hampton back and you got Vidal. The weapons at wide receiver, like Ladd McConkey's good, but is he a true number one? There's been a lot of excuses there that are fair. But if he plays well and they lose the game, I think we could sit there and say, okay, they found a way to still get there even with all they had to overcome, and it's fine. But if he has a 3 or 4 interception game like he did last year up against the Texans, they lose again, that I would think it's different. So the question is, Herbert and the Chargers should get a pass if they go one and done in the playoffs again. I lean more proper reaction just because of all the crap that has been thrown their way this year, and they're still sitting there with 9 wins on the season.
All right, now the NFC is stacked with 10 teams still holding a realistic chance of making the postseason, with the Lions 8th, the Panthers 9th, and the Cowboys 10th on the outside looking in. As of right now, the 7 teams that are in the playoffs are the Rams, Packers, Eagles, Bucks, 49ers, Bears, and Seahawks. Overreaction, proper reaction. The 7 teams I just named currently in the playoffs will all wind up still making the postseason by the end of the season.
Rams, yes. Packers, yes. Eagles, yes. Bucks to be determined. Seahawks, yes. Niners, yes. You want to know who I give the other to be determined team to? The Bears. So I do think Tampa Bay is going to make the playoffs over the Panthers. I know that Tampa Bay just lost to the Saints. Tyler Shuck. We didn't give him a stud yesterday, but he was deserving of it, if I'm just being honest. But the Bucks play the Falcons, who stink, the Panthers twice, and then sandwich in between an improving Dolphins team. So that's where they're currently at. Now, you take a glance at the Carolina Panthers schedule. The Panthers schedule is tougher because they still have the Seahawks on it. So they play the Saints, the Bucks, the Seahawks, and the Bucks. I'm going to still say the Bucks limp into the postseason. But you know what? The Bears, who were the number 1 seed a week ago, and now they're 7th, they have a legit chance to miss the postseason. Here's the Bears' remaining schedule. Cleveland this week, then they play the Packers, the Niners, and the Lions. Would it be crazy to say that the Bears only win 1 more game for the rest of the regular season? No. It wouldn't be crazy. And then you look at the Detroit Lions. This is their schedule remaining the rest of the way. They are currently 8-5. They play the Rams, the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Bears. So I think we're coming right down to the wire between the Lions and the Bears. And truly, the Bucks and the Panthers could be a flip of a coin. So the question is, are the 7 teams that are in the postseason right now, are they going to all be in there at the end of the season? Those 7 would be the Rams, Packers, Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, 49ers, and Bears. I'm going to say I'll take the odds that one of those teams on the outside end up getting in. So I will go overreaction.
Now, the Panthers have been a revelation out of the South.
Could you imagine if the Bears missed the playoffs?
Yeah.
But after being the 1 seed just a week ago.
No, I get it, but you know what, though? I mean, we kind of talked about it. They're so grouped together. The 1 seed and the 8, the fact they had 1 loss and they moved from 1 to 7, it wasn't like they lost like 6 in a row. It was just one loss against a good team with a last-second chance to tie the game. So
now CeeLo has me looking into point differential.
Oh, I've been a huge proponent of point differential for years.
The Packers' point differential is plus 70. The Lions have actually the best point differential in the division at plus 90. The Bears are -1. The Vikings are -26. Ay, ay, ay. Do you want to know? Oh, this is just atrocious. The AFC North and the NFC South all have negative point differential. Bucks -26, Panthers -50, Falcons -61, Saints -109. The AFC North, Steelers -3, Ravens -9, Bengals -99, Browns -78. The whole division in the the AFC North and the NFC South, all negative point differential teams. All right, anyway, let's go to the next one.
Not good. Now, the Panthers have been a revelation out of the South, winning 6 of their last 9 after a 1-3 start, including wins over the Packers, Cowboys, and Rams. After a rookie season that had many calling Bryce Young a bust already, he bounced back with a productive yet underwhelming second year and has improved even more this year, already surpassing his career high with 18 touchdown passes and is on pace for 3,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 picks. Overreaction, proper reaction, Bryce Young can still develop into a top 10 level NFL quarterback.
I got to see more out of him, if I'm just being fully transparent on this. I know he had the big throw just the other week to Ted McMillan in that victory, which was a nice thing to see, but he's playing better. He's improved. I know it's his 3rd year. You'll pick up his 5th-year option, so he'll be there for 2 more seasons, but this idea that the Carolina Panthers would go pay Bryce Young big money this offseason, I would advise against that in a huge way. I'm not ready to say that this guy could be a top 10 quarterback in the league still. So I got to see more. So I'm going to go overreaction.
Now, the Chiefs' season appears to be over after dropping to 6-7. The 2 games back of the 7th and final spot in the AFC playoffs. Now, Patrick Mahomes has dealt with various offensive line issues, an aging tight end, and a lack of offensive and outside weapons.
No, it's not even the 6-7 hands. That's just that was a rotund person singing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. The rotund lady has given her pipes some vocal warm-ups. He is likely to have his 3rd
She's
straight.
belting out the lyrics. That's what I heard there.
Doing something. Actually reminds me of my boy. It reminds me of my boy Ron Wolfley, who was the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh yeah.
He was the color analyst, and he, for years, when they made that run to the Super Bowl, he did the fat lady singing. He went viral for it after years of being the color out analyst. So he ended up doing it every game down the road, down the stretch, and into the Super Bowl. And he was this close to giving one more fat lady singing.
Did you ever hear the end of that story?
What story?
With Ron Rolfe. You never heard of the story end? You never heard how the story ended?
I mean, I worked with him, so how did the story end?
Oh my! How do you not know this? Santonio Holmes walked up to him afterwards. He's like, "Hey, old man."
He didn't get both feet down.
He did.
He did not. 1 foot and a half a toe on the outside line. Anyway, Cardinals Super Bowl champions.
Well, they weren't.
Patrick Mahomes has dealt with a lot of offensive issues, but he's likely to have his 3rd straight season under 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and his interception numbers continue to climb, and he seems like a shell of the quarterback he was early in his career when he was putting up 5,000 yards and 40-plus TDs. Overreaction, proper reaction. The Super Bowl window is closed for Mahomes and this core of Chiefs players.
You still have Patrick Mahomes.
But is Patrick Mahomes, like we say that, but is like,
yes.
Can this Patrick Mahomes carry a team now?
So
5 years ago, yes. I don't know if this Patrick Mahomes can carry a team.
Did they make the Super Bowl last year?
Yes.
After winning 2 straight Super Bowls. So this is a horrible year for the Chiefs. Horrible. But am I going to say, like, there's a difference in saying the Chiefs are dead for this year and then the Chiefs dynasty is dead. I'm not of the belief right now that the Chiefs dynasty is dead. Do they need some retooling? Absolutely. But the Chiefs for this year are dead. Moving into the future, you could fix this real quickly. So the Super Bowl window for Mahomes and the Chiefs is closed right now. I'm going to say overreaction.
All right. Now, your Patriots have won 10 straight and hold a 2-game lead over the Bills in the
Sorry,
AFC
say
East.
that again? My headphones went out. What was the question?
The team that plays in that doesn't actually have a state or a city.
I'm not being. My headphones really went out. I had no clue what you said.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the vibrations that are going on in the studio because of the whole construction. So I knocked out my headphones for a second.
Good timing. The Patriots have won 10 straight and hold a 2-game lead over the Bills in the AFC East, as if you didn't have the paper in front of you to read exactly what I'm saying. The Buffalo Bills.
I go to the Derek Zoolander School for people who can't read good and other things.
I can read great. I just don't like to read certain things.
Is that a school for ants?
He's so hot right now, that Hansel.
It's in the computer.
Buffalo has turned things around slightly, winning 3 of 4 with Josh Allen looking like his MVP self again. Now the Bills travel to New England to take on Drake May's squad in a huge game on Sunday. Overreaction, proper reaction. Despite their records and the Pats winning the first head-to-head matchup, you still actually trust the Bills more this postseason.
If the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs, and I don't think they will be, it could be a wise bet to have a Bills AFC future ticket just to get out of the AFC. I don't know what the numbers are, so maybe the odds aren't great. But you're asking me this question. Despite their record, the Pats winning the first head-to-head matchup, you still trust the Bills more in the playoffs? I'm actually going to go overreaction there. I trust Mike Vrabel over Sean McDermott in a big game. And also, outside of James Cook, what really scares me with this Buffalo team? Like, you have Josh Allen and James Cook. Scary. But defensively, I like the Patriots defense better than the Buffalo Bills defense. And hey, the Patriots can easily lose this weekend. They probably should lose this weekend. But if the Patriots have home field advantage or the Patriots are the home team in terms of in the playoffs, yeah, I'm going to trust the Patriots more than the Bills. So despite their record and the Pats winning the first head-to-head matchup, you still trust the Bills more in the playoffs. I am going overreaction.
All right, now the Heisman Trust has announced the 4 players headed to New York for the Heisman ceremony, including Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, along with the trio of quarterbacks, Indiana's Fernando
You think he'll
Mendoza.
opt out of the ceremony?
What?
You think he'll opt out of the ceremony, Jeremiah Love?
I mean, I wouldn't blame the guy, but no, I think if you're invited for the Heisman, that's
that
an
wasn't a
individual.
serious question.
I know, but still, it's one of those things where like you could see it happening.
No, I couldn't. It is our promotion, and it is something that is phenomenal, and you should definitely go to it. He's not going to opt out.
And considering that one of the New York teams might be looking at him in the draft, you don't want to upset the city of New York. Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, Ohio State's Julian Sain, and Vandy's Diego Pavia.
Honestly, maybe you do. Who wants to fight for the Jets or the Giants?
I know, seriously. But I mean, could you imagine Dart, Love, and Neighbors on that offensive side of the ball? I mean, like that's impressive. With a little Scatterboo,
Mr. Arizona State just forked down Cam Scatterboo.
No, listen, I love me some Scatterboo, but Scatterboo be a good 1-2 punch with a guy like Love. Now the junior Mendoza is the favorite to win the Heisman and is expected to enter the NFL draft, as will the senior Pavia, though Sain is just a redshirt freshman and has at least another year before he can come out. Overreaction, proper reaction. Mendoza will be the best pro of this group of quarterbacks.
I don't think Diego Pavia is going to be a good pro. So this comes down to Julian Sain and Fernando Mendoza, who, I think Fernando Mendoza is an intriguing prospect. What he's done this year at Indiana has been remarkable. I don't know if he's going to be a great pro. So Julian Sain, though, he's got so many weapons there. It's so tough to evaluate him. Oh, boy. You know what? I'm going to trust the guy that's had to work through more adversity and has won with less. I'm going to say Fernando Mendoza will be the best pro out of this group. So I will go, that's a proper reaction.
Now, while every other new head coach hire is being allowed to coach in the CFP for his current team, Ole Miss obviously refused to let Lane Kiffin coach during their playoff run as he took the LSU job. However, the school backtracked a little bit, apparently has no issues allowing some of the assistants who left with Kiffin to remain with the team for the run. 4 coaches, including the tight ends coach, 2 receivers coach, and their assistant QBs coach, returned to Oxford to help new coach Pete Golden and new OC Charlie Weiss Jr. prepare for their first-round matchup with Tulane. Overreaction, proper reaction. Ole Miss shouldn't allow these assistants to come back.
That's an overreaction. Lane Kiffin left like a jackass. Let's be real. The assistants didn't leave like a bunch of jackasses, so you got to have some of those old coaches there, or else everyone's just going to be lost in terms of the game plan and getting yourself ready. Now, could they win up against Tulane without all their coaches being there? Sure. But as you then go further and further on, it will get more difficult to do so. So Ole Miss shouldn't allow these assistants to come back. I'm going to go overreaction on that one.
All right, now the CFP first round kicks off in 2 weeks, so not a huge gap in between like it was last year. On Friday, December 19th, with number 8 Oklahoma.
Well, no, I think it's the same thing. It was just the teams off the bye had to wait long.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's
but
what it
still,
was.
it's still such a long.
Because you had to wait long for Arizona State, and Boise State fans had to wait long, and Oregon and all that.
They should have been in the Final Four. 4th down, freaking
Georgia
Quinn
too.
Ewers in overtime. What are we doing?
Nah, but you weren't.
I know. Number 8 Oklahoma hosts Alabama on that Friday, while we get a trio of matchups on Saturday the 20th. First, number 10 Miami travels to College Station to take on number 7 Texas A&M. Then number 6 Ole Miss hosts number 11 Tulane before the nightcap in which number 5 Oregon and number 12 JMU close out the day. Overreaction, proper reaction. Miami A&M is the most intriguing matchup in the first round.
So this basically comes down to, do I view Oklahoma, Alabama more intriguing than Texas A&M and Miami? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say A&M Miami is a little bit more intriguing. Oklahoma's offense stinks. Alabama's offense has been miserable as of late. You know, Miami has a good, complete team. I get it. A&M, Marcel Reed in that game up against Texas did not play well, but he had all those injuries. I'm more intrigued by Miami A&M. Yeah, I think that's the most interesting first-round matchup. I will go proper reaction. This construction is something, by the way. You know, I thought we had Big Boom AJ and Big Justice just bringing the boom in the studio somewhere. You can't hear it on the radio. And even when I was interviewing Dan Lanning, I heard it in the room, but he couldn't even hear it on the headsets, and you couldn't hear it in the recording. But geez, the thunder that is going down here at the 345 Hudson Street Studios is just wild. Wild, wild, wild. Last one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a back massage while we're talking. Just like a lot of vibration, a little.
I think that's more
shimmy.
peaceful though.
Yeah.
When I get a back massage, right? You're just sitting down in the room. They got some music. You know, it's a very soothing thing. This seems like you're in an earthquake zone.
A little more violent.
Yeah, this is violent.
Yeah.
This is Big Boom AJ. I'm telling you.
All right, well, let's make that happen. After Notre Dame was snubbed by the CFP, they announced they will not participate in any bowl game, joining the Big 12's K-State, Iowa State, and Baylor as teams who've declined invitations, prompting Texas' Steve Sarkisian to sort of sound off.
I want our guys to enjoy this, and I feel like it's the right thing for us to do for a lot of reasons. I don't know about the ripple effect for everybody. You know, I think, we all have goals and aspirations of winning conference championships and being national champions. At least we do. But I also think that there's an experience factor in all this. There's growth in all this. There's development in all this. There's camaraderie. There's so much that goes into this that sometimes a bowl game is about celebrating a season and finishing a season the right way. And like I said, I can't speak for everybody else. That may change some as we evolve potentially into more teams. I don't know. I think we all can agree we've got a flawed system right now that needs to be revamped, needs to be looked at from a lot of different angles. Where it goes from here, I don't think anybody really knows. And so, the point being, I don't know what the effect is going to be down the road.
Now, overreaction, proper reaction. As the playoffs continue to expand, we should get rid of these meaningless non-playoff bowl games.
I'm going to say that's a proper reaction. Pains me to say it. And I do think that maybe they should just go to a G5 playoff, like a non-Power 4 conference playoff versus a Power 4 conference, and then Notre Dame, I would put you in that group in the Power 4 conference. If you don't have a conference, maybe you end up joining a conference. But these bowl games, I don't want to say they're meaningless outright, but if you continue to add more teams, and I understand some schools just they can't make the college football playoff. So that if you get a bowl game, okay, you reward those seniors. But the more and more teams you add, the less and less bowl games that we do need to have, obviously, in the college football world. Did you see this tweet, by the way? Let me just pull this up real quickly, because I think that this is just interesting. So, Brett McMurphy, this is what he tweeted out today. Notre Dame AD Pete Bavacqua. How do you say his name? I never get that AD's name right.
You're 100% right on, Bavacqua.
Oh, so maybe I do get it right. Said the only Power 4 commissioner he's talked to since Sunday snub was the SEC's Greg Sankey. Does Greg Sankey maybe say Notre Dame? Come on over. And does Notre Dame say maybe we'll tango in the SEC? If I'm Notre Dame, I'm still not joining a conference. I think this year was an outlier. And as the playoff continues to expand more and more and more, even if it stays the same this year, you're probably going to get in more years than not.
I normally would agree with you, but man, it was so fun watching them in the ACC the one year during the COVID season.
2020, yeah.
It was just fun to see. I mean, I know 2020 wasn't a fun year, but it was just fun to watch Notre Dame battling through the ACC. And the fact that they came out, fairly unscathed through the conference, it was gratifying.
And now the schedules in the SEC, there's some gauntlet stretches, but then also some years you're just not playing other teams because of how many more teams there now are in the SEC and the Big Ten. How do you think Notre Dame would do if they played an SEC schedule? Let me just pull up A&M, who's having this remarkable season. Do a win-loss here for me, Samter. Notre Dame plays UTSA.
That's a win.
Notre Dame plays Utah State.
That's a win.
Okay, now Notre Dame, they obviously played A&M and they lost. So let's just say that's a loss, okay? Then let's say Notre Dame played Auburn this year.
Probably a win. I think it depends. Auburn was 2 different teams this year, but I would say win.
Then Notre Dame would play Mississippi State.
I mean, Arizona State lost to them on the road, but I'm going to go win.
Then Notre Dame would play Florida.
That's a win.
Notre Dame would play Arkansas. They already played this year and smothered them. So that's a win. Notre Dame would play LSU at LSU.
At LSU, I would probably say that's a win, but that's tough. That could go either way. I'll go win.
Notre Dame at Missouri.
Win.
Notre Dame, South Carolina.
Win.
Notre Dame, Samford.
Win.
Notre Dame at Texas.
I'm going to have to give them a loss. Just they're not going to go through that whole schedule because every team falters. I'm going to go with a loss.
But still, in the ballpark of 2 to 3 losses where they're at right now. Now, could I pluck a tougher schedule? Sure, and I could probably say that they could be up to a 4-loss team. But Notre Dame not being in a conference, I don't think really harms them. And this was just the one time where it just bit them in the you-know-what.
I'm curious to go through that with Miami's schedule.
Oh, so if Notre Dame is in the ACC full-time?
If Notre Dame had Miami's schedule this year.
Okay, so they lost to Miami beat Notre Dame, so that's 0-1. Bethune Cookman.
That's a win.
Notre Dame, South Florida.
Win.
Notre Dame, Florida.
Win.
Notre Dame at Florida State.
Win.
Notre Dame, Louisville.
Win.
Notre Dame, Stanford, which they already beat.
Win.
Notre Dame, SMU.
Win.
Notre Dame, Syracuse.
Win.
Notre Dame, NC State.
Win.
Notre Dame, Virginia Tech.
Win.
Notre Dame, Pittsburgh.
Win.
Yeah. So it's that one game that they lost to Miami.
Yep.
That's the Miami schedule. So, still put Miami on the schedule there.
Yep.
So, yeah, if Notre Dame joined the ACC full-time, they'd be the top dog in the conference. They would be. But I don't think they have to join a conference. If they were joining the SEC or the Big Ten, I would see the reasoning for it. To join the ACC or to join the Big 12, I would not see the reasoning for it. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll do a news brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Let's hear from Jalen Hurts on his awful Monday Night Football performance.
I didn't play enough. I didn't play well enough. Too many turnovers. Lots of opportunities, especially when we get on the other side of the 50, and I wasn't able to, get us in the box.
And let's hear from Jalen Hurts. He takes responsibility for the offensive struggles.
I mean, we got to go out there and got to put it together. And at the end of the day, I look at it. It's I. That's I. It starts with me. It starts with me and how I play. Like I said, how I lead, and it's my ability to go out there and figure it out. There's no excuses.
You're going up against a team that's probably going to the playoffs in the AFC now. That's a Chargers team that's been through a lot of injuries. Their quarterback was getting the snot kicked out of them by your defense. You had a horrible game. One of the worst games I've ever seen a quarterback play. Let's be real with Jalen Hurts, and you still had a chance to win the game at the end. If you just didn't play at a stupid level, like if you just didn't take a risk in that spot and just, remember they used to tell you in school, keep it simple, silly? That's all you had to do there. It's 1st and 10, you're at the 17. And you did what you did. You got reckless. And you could have had an awful game and everyone would have forgave you because you won the game today. But you did that at the end, and it was unacceptable. Now, A.J. Brown, the last 3 weeks, he's heating on up. But the Eagles keep on losing games. They've lost 3 out of straight, and now they're 3 in a row. Now they're 8-5 on the season. Here is A.J. Brown. Everyone on offense deserves blame for their struggles.
You can't just point a finger, I think all of us has our hand in that pie, we trying to, get better. Obviously, he's a quarterback. He's gonna get a lot of, stuff for it, but we in this thing together, like I said, like today, the one across the middle, I'm more than capable to make that catch. So you can't put that on him. I mean, he was under pressure, and I mean, it ain't gonna be perfect. You know, it's a tough game. It was a tough opponent. It was a tough night.
Here's the thing. I don't think A.J. Brown is the greatest teammate in the world, and I'm not giving him a total pass. I think his intentions, though, are in the right place. And I think his heart is in the right place. And you hear it there. He could have slammed his quarterback last night. And I understand he had 3 drops in the game as well last night, so you can't slam the quarterback too much. But he just wants his team to be better. Now, how he goes about it could be different. And you know, they could alter that, and it could be better. But I don't really have a problem. There's nothing that he said wrong there. And I actually think that was a good answer from A.J. Brown. And it was different than what I expected him to say after seeing the performance of the whole team last night. Let's go to Jim Harbaugh. How does this win rank in his career?
Well, it's been a lot of teams. And this is definitely, maybe the best feeling, well, it's been a lot of teams. And this is definitely, maybe the best feeling, just a wonderful feeling of winning and thrill of victory. It's certainly in the discussion. I put it in the discussion, the birth of my 7 children, my marriage, in the conversation.
Jim went home last night. You got some explaining to do. Now, this guy's won a national championship at Michigan. This guy also has been to a Super Bowl with the 49ers. And that went
against his brother.
Yes. Well, he didn't win that game.
Still.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, like, he got to the Super Bowl. Like, those are games that he won. And you're going to say, like, he's beating the crap out of Ryan Day. And you're going to tell me that that's the most rewarding win of his career? I think he started to say it and he realized how stupid that did sound. But that's Jim Harbaugh, man. He's an interesting cat. Let's go to Justin Herbert. He downplays his injury.
There have been multiple guys. I think Troy Dye and Elijah Molden both broke their hands, and I think they were playing the next week too. And they probably don't get enough credit for that. And just because I'm the quarterback, I get the the talk about that. But those guys, they battle. There's so many guys in that locker room that are fighting through so many different injuries and things worse than what I'm going through. So it's the least that I can do to show up and give my best effort for them.
See, let me ask you a question, because you've done the whole locker room scene for years. I know it's a little bit different when you're a sideline reporter. Do you have any issue last night with Justin Herbert not trying to do the interview with Laura Rutledge?
Do I have an issue with Herbert?
Yeah.
Not a big one. I think it's one of those cases where, just catch him at the wrong time and he's still shaking hands. I understand it's typical that the star player, the quarterback, does that. But I don't know, maybe all that he went through, the emotion of that game, him playing through the injury, he just wanted a little bit more time and breathing room. I give her credit for, continuing to pursue it and stick with him, because that's her job. Yeah. That's her job, is to get that access. That's part of the broadcast deal.
It's like he should do it, obviously.
Yes. And he did ultimately.
But all these reporters that then get on their soapbox.
Yeah.
I was a sideline reporter.
Yeah.
And players shouldn't treat people that way.
It's not a matter of life and death here. Let's calm down.
It gets the media can get absolutely insufferable.
Yes.
Let's provide some levity though in this situation, and we'll do that in just a second. But I will say, to wrap up one thought on the whole Justin Herbert situation, I think it's because he probably knew he shouldn't have been playing in the game last night. And he got the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah.
It's I think he just generally didn't want to talk to anyone afterwards. He just wanted to be with his teammates.
Yeah, it's probably some frustration, even though they won the game, and sort of the relief of it's over, and now I can get back to rest and recovery before suiting up again for the next game.
So Phillip Rivers is signing on the Colts practice squad. This stuff leaked last night. Derwin James obviously plays for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers used to play for the Chargers. This is what Derwin James had to say afterwards about Phillip Rivers potentially coming back.
I seen that. I was like, whoa. I looked at it on the TV. I was like, whoa, what Phil doing? I said, oh, Phil, what you got going on? But I know I got a lot of respect for Phil.
You were his teammate. You think he still got it at age 20?
Yeah, he always got it. He always got it. As long as he got that mind, man, he want that mind in that arm, he'll be all right.
We'll see how that works with some of the defenses he's going up against. Sirius XM Radio, they had Joe Theismann on. Joe Theismann furious about his Notre Dame Fighting Irish being left out of the college football playoff.
It was disgusting. It really was. You look at the rankings, Notre Dame and Miami should have been in, but what is Alabama doing in this? They've lost 3 games. It's the first 3-loss team that's ever been in. And to leave Notre Dame out, Notre Dame was ranked above Miami all year until a quote-unquote the committee decides on who winds up in the CFP. It's insulting. It's deplorable. And it's just flat wrong, to be honest with you. You don't need to look very deep into this system to realize there's no 3-loss team that should be in the playoffs. If you wanted to put somebody in, BYU only lost 2 games. Texas lost 3 games, but yet Alabama still is at number 9 with 3 losses. I really feel like Notre Dame has been done an injustice.
Yeah, but they lost the 3rd game in the conference championship game. Notre Dame doesn't play in a conference, so they don't have the ability to be put in that spot after finishing the regular season with 2 losses. Like Alabama ended the regular season with 2 losses. They went to a conference championship game when you guys sat at home and Miami. So why should they be penalized? Now they got blown out. I don't think Alabama's trending in the right direction, but I don't think it's an injustice putting Alabama in the college football playoff. Let's hear my BFF Urban Meyer. He was on the Herd on FS1. He has some advice for Marcus Freeman with all the NFL rumors.
Marcus is my friend. He's not asked me, but I would say you stay in college 100%. You have controllables in college as a head coach. In the NFL, I found there's so many uncontrollables that you don't have. Whether it's the GM, you have an owner, you have all kinds of things. In college, it's you. But Marcus Freeman, as I found out, you give up so much when you take that next step, and so much that's out of your control. And plus, you're going to lose in the NFL. It's built, and I'm not sure Marcus, the Marcus I know, he can't take losing like I can't take losing. You're going to win at Notre Dame.
My follow-up would have been, hey, coach, could you control not kicking your player in the NFL? That seems like something you could control that you did when you kicked that kicker. Oh, yeah. That is such a spin job that is so lame and pathetic by Urban Meyer.
Or, traveling home with the team after a primetime game.
And then putting your finger in some area where it should not have been.
Yeah.
That was controllable, too. That Urban Urban Meyer, Come on. Finally, Matt Campbell says it's a dream come true to be the head football coach at Penn State.
All you heard around those family discussions was Coach Paterno and the toughness and the character of the Penn State football program. To this 16-year-old tight end who was started to get recruited, and you couldn't stop watching number 81, this Kyle Brady, and all you kept saying is, man, someday I want to be like that guy. It's a dream come true for me. It's one of the greatest honors of my life, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here.
So there you go. That is Matt Campbell, the new head football coach at Penn State, leaving Iowa State. We'll come on back. We'll replay some of the conversation that we had earlier today with Dan Lanning, the head football coach at Oregon. But first up with the latest sports flash, here's Chris Lepresti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, and I guess it is Phillip Rivers to the rescue for the Colts. Maybe the freshly turned 44-year-old who's been out of the NFL since the 2020 season has signed on with the Colts practice squad, instantly making him the oldest player in the league. He's also older than current Colts head coach Shane Steichen, as well as offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter. So we'll see if and when Rivers plays, thanks to an injury-riddled Colts quarterback room that includes a knee injury for third-string rookie Riley Leonard, whose status for Sunday's road game against the Seahawks is up in the air, at least for now. Rivers' status as a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame will remain unaffected as long as he remains on the practice squad. Should he be elevated to the active roster, his clock would restart and his Hall of Fame candidacy would be delayed another 5 years. Baseball hot stove moves today. Closer Edwin Diaz leaving the Mets for the Dodgers. 3-year deal for a reported $69 million to join the two-time defending World Series champs. And Kyle Schwarber staying with the Phillies, said to be finalizing a 5-year, $150 million deal to stay in Philadelphia. NBA Cup quarterfinal action on the way tonight. You got the Heat visiting the Magic in the opener. Tip-off coming up shortly after the top of the hour. And then it'll be the Knicks and the Raptors from Toronto in the nightcap, with that game tipping shortly after 8:30 Eastern Time. I'm Chris Lepresti.
This is JR from the JR Sport Brief. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life. The easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage, no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. not available in all states. We had Dan Lanning on the show earlier today. Let's replay some of that conversation right now. It's been a successful season for Dante Moore, his first full season as a starting quarterback with the Oregon Ducks. I asked Dan Lanning what really does impress him with his quarterback.
Yeah, maturity, the level of growth. Like, this guy is super self-aware. I think that's one of the traits that doesn't exist a lot in football nowadays. People don't recognize what they recognize what they're good at, and they hear about it and they see it in the media, but they don't recognize the areas that they can improve and where they can grow. And Dante's a guy that's continued to grow every single week. He's extremely intelligent. He has great emotional control and command. I think the love for his teammates, the way these guys respond to Dante is really, really special.
I know that you're focused on this game. I know that you're focused on winning a national championship, but with his future, how do you kind of help him make that decision if it's best for him to return or maybe go off to the NFL?
I want Dante to do what's best for Dante. I think ultimately he's the only person that can, answer that question. And there's a lot of positives to both, right? There's a lot of positives to both opportunities. Every player dreams of the opportunity to become an NFL player. And Dante's got, a good circle of people around him that he trusts, that he's going to be able to lean on. It's tough that some of those decisions you feel like are having to be made earlier than they necessarily have to. But that's just the world that we live in. I think the biggest thing for Dante right now is to focus on exactly where you're at, be where your feet are, be able to attack this moment and realize how special it is. And then when the time comes to make some of those decisions, I know he'll be ready for it.
Been a lot of questions about the health of the Oregon football team with DeCorian Moore and Gary Bryant Jr., also Evan Stewart, who's been out for the season. Let's get some updates on those wide receivers. What's the latest health-wise when you come to DeCorian Moore and then Gary Bryant Jr.?
Yeah, to be determined. Those guys are making great progress. I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for us to see these guys again before the season's done, but we'll see how it all plays out.
And then how about Evan Stewart? Because I know last time we talked in September or October on the show, there was optimism that maybe he could return. Is that still on the table for an Evan Stewart return?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, part of it is us protecting these players from themselves and making sure that when they're ready, they get that opportunity. So we'll see how it all plays out. These guys are working extremely hard, and I'm hopeful that we can see him out there.
Yeah, where is he at in his rehab process? Just wondering.
What's the right answer for you here? What do you mean?
Like how close is he to? Like, is he close to maybe playing or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's optimism. I know Ducks fans like to hear that. So we'll see if Evan Stewart ends up making a return. He's supposed to be one of the better receivers in the country. Was going to be out for the season. Dan kind of told us I think it was September or October when we last had him on, that there's maybe a chance that he comes back at the end of the season. Well, the regular season has come and gone. Now it's a college football playoff. Like, here's the thing, and Oregon won't admit it, and neither will Ole Miss. If there's injuries, you're going up against Tulane and James Madison. I know you don't want to approach it that way, but you could survive and maybe delaying until the 31st or the 1st because you're going to win that game. Now, if you lose that game, all right, it was a great miscalculation. But are the odds really great for James Madison or Tulane to pull off the upset? No, they are not. So this whole Pat Kraft thing happened with the leak audio where Pat Kraft was talking to about 8 to 10 players, and Oregon came up, and he said the people in Oregon are a bunch of weirdos. They're not a tough football team. The quarterback looked nervous in overtime, even though the quarterback beat you in overtime. I had to ask Dan Lanning about, his thoughts on all the Pat Kraft audio. I got to ask you this at the end, just because we have a lot of Penn State fans that listen to the show, a lot of Oregon fans that listen to the show. We've all heard the Pat Kraft leaked audio and what he said about Oregon. When that came across your desk, just how did you respond to it?
Yeah, no response. Pat's trying to do the best job that he can for Penn State, but I heard it. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of people, when they hear that, they go, next time Oregon plays Penn State, that's going to be a classic Dan Lanning hype-up speech in the locker room.
We'll see.
That's what's exactly going to happen. I think that's 2 years from now. Finally, last year, this was a team that was undefeated. They had the long bye, the long layoff. They ended up losing the second round to Ohio State, coming off to bye their first college football playoff game. This team had to grind it out ever since losing to Indiana. Dan Lanning on the difference of mentality between last year's squad and this year's squad.
Yeah, I mean, that team wanted to win too, right? We all want to win. I think it's the lessons learned and the way you did things. And just because you didn't have success doesn't mean you weren't doing things right. It just means you got to continue to tweak your process and figure out what makes you the best version of yourself. We played an outstanding team in that Ohio State team last year. I think everybody recognizes that they were really good. But ultimately, we made some tweaks on how we're going to prep, this season in comparison. I am excited about the fact that we have a game early. I think there's some strong benefits to that and making sure your team's able to stay fresh and play. just continue to work on creating that routine of you go all season of you're playing every Saturday, and then all of a sudden you have a 25-day window or you have a 20-day window in between games. How you attack that, I think, is really, really important. So that's something we've really focused on.
You could watch that full conversation on YouTube, by the way. You could also do the full rewind function on the Odyssey app as well. And you could also just, wherever you find podcasts, the Zach Gelb Show, you can listen to our entire conversation with Coach Dan Lanning. You could also get it on my Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, or you get it on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. And that will do it for a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show. Big thanks to Jack Carty. Big thanks to Michael Samter. Big thanks to Chris Lopresti and each and every one of you for tuning on in. Also like to thank Anthony Gargano for joining us earlier. Enjoyed that conversation. And obviously the head football coach of the Oregon Ducks in Dan Lanning. How about this one for tomorrow? Florida legend, college football royalty, Tim Tebow. He's going to stop by the show. So looking forward to that conversation. We'll talk about John Summerall. We'll talk about the Swamp. We'll talk about his Gators memories. And also, we will chat about the college football playoff with him. So we will chat tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Have a great night, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.